Orange team. Everybody, I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Jeff.
Yes.
And this is the board game rundown. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. We are joined by special guest Jeff Irving. How's it going, Jeff?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you crazies.
That's us.
Great
That
to have
is
you
us.
again, Jeff. This is now Jeff's second time on Whiskey Wednesday. And many of you should know by now that he is the designer of Vrahode, currently on Kickstarter.
Whoop, whoop.
And funded.
Yeah.
And now funded.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Look at that. This is a prototype, reviewer copy, but I'm still really glad to have one. Got to mess around with it. We did drop a couple videos, and so you can see us talk about it, share sort of our excitement and enthusiasm over there. And yeah, Jeff, you got a great team. It's clear that you put a lot of work into this. It shows. And yeah, we had a good time with it. I really enjoyed it. I think some of the things that you do, and we talked about this in one of the videos, the things that you do to really help set the game apart from other campaign story driven games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really come through.
Appreciate that.
I mean, and not to mention also the minis that are in here these things are out of control, man.
You don't like minis? What?
I know, right? I have so many games of minis. But yeah, in the game, if you were to back the game right now, like you should, if you haven't yet, you get those minis and they all come pre-shaded. They're good quality. They're sturdy. They're not brittle. I'm not calling any other companies out, but I've definitely gotten some great looking minis that snap. If you look at them weird.
I was going to say, one of the games on my list, notoriously crappy minis, but it still tells a great story. So.
Oh, sure. Yep. But
yeah, sometimes you work with.
What shirt are you wearing?
Oh, this is 2022, brother.
Okay. Nice.
I loved it because it was tie dyed. I'm an old dude, so it kind of played to my hippie days.
Awesome. I definitely see that they were definitely playing up to that on that particular shirt design for sure. Saying hello to our regulars.
Now, this is how much I love Dave and Di Rossi, because one of my most hated baseball teams is the Mets.
I know, but
I hate sharing this.
Actually mad that the Mets are doing that bad because they've been kind of bad for a while. So
I never want the Mets to ever win a game ever.
I can't root for New York City teams, but I have to say Philly fans might be worse. So I'm probably okay with the Mets upsetting the Phillies.
Yeah.
That'll be okay with, so they can suffer a crushing defeat to the Tigers or somebody. That'd be great.
That would be hilarious.
Just get swept. I'd love to watch the Mets get to the series and then get swept, not score a run, and just have the most embarrassing World Series known to man. Jeff, just so you know, and I've told this story before, when I was a kid, I'm a diehard Cubs fan. My dad took me to a baseball game in the mid 80s, and the very first Cubs game I went to, they were playing the Mets, and this was a Mets with Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden, and guess whose favorite team did not stand a flipping chance?
Exactly.
Oh, they crushed us so bad. I mean, I got to see icons right on the field. They just were playing for the other team, and Ryan Sandberg. but yeah,
Wayne, I hope you're staying safe out there. Because man, it's coming
no kidding.
Give him back his stapler, okay? He just wants a stapler back.
Yeah, Milton needs his stapler.
Wayne is Tampa, so he is in the eye of Milton, possibly within 24 hours. So stay safe, buddy.
Yeah.
It sounded like they downgraded it recently to a 3. I'm not 100% sure of that, but 3s are still very destructive. Yeah.
What were we gonna say about baseball, Jeff? I'm sorry,
I can't. I don't have baseball stories because I've never been a baseball guy. But I can tell you, as a Colts fan, after Peyton Manning left, I get your pain.
Yeah.
of like really wanting to root for a great team and them just not for years and years and years just not having it. So I get it.
You know, that actually reminds me, Mike, I meant to tell you this. I can finally put my finger on why I hate the Colts as much as I do.
Ooh, please do.
Because I am also a Peyton Manning fan. Okay.
Yep.
Now I understand that they beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. That's not my problem because that's Rex Grossman's fault, not the Bears. I mean, it is the Bears' fault, but it's more Rex Grossman's fault.
They should have started Kyle Orton, but go on.
Agreed. Sure. But I figured it out. Do you know why I hate the Bears? Or I mean the Colts?
Yep.
Freudian slip. I hate the Bears because they ruined my life. So the
Is
Colts,
it the owner?
No, he's weird, and he's a fun story.
He is what he is.
But the here's the thing: is I hold grudges from college players to the pros.
Ooh.
And
Tennessee beat Notre Dame.
The Colts had nope, because Peyton Manning. Mike, listen, Peyton Manning's not my problem. I like them while they had Peyton Manning. I even forgave Edgerrin James for playing for Miami because he was such a fun running back to watch. I hate Miami. But they went through a string of really bad quarterbacks. They had Curtis Painter and who did they have? I forget who they had after Painter. But then they drafted the neckbeard himself, who I thought was Kyle Orton. But a dude that was even better educated, can't figure out how to work a razor, Andrew Luck, who I hated from his college days at Stanford when he played for also number one enemy Jim Harbaugh. So it was like a double whammy. Stanford was really good. Stanford is a yearly rival of Notre Dame.
Yep.
And Andrew Luck was pretty good against us. And so I hate him. And I will never forgive him for ruining a couple seasons of Notre Dame football. So there's what it is. Yeah, Tim alienating everyone he gets.
Did Kelly forget to tell you not to get canceled or what?
Yeah, she did, but she didn't say don't alienate everybody. There's a difference.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah, before every show, Jeff, my wife says, Tim, just don't get canceled tonight. So,
working on it.
I'm working on it.
It's not a good show until you get canceled by a few people.
That's right. Yeah, if we're not pissing off a few people.
What have you been doing?
Because we're either alienating all the non-sports, like all the people that don't like sports, right, by talking about sports on the show. And then I'm alienating my friends that like the Mets and, everything else. My friends that like the Colts, Jeff and Mike. Bob's a Dolphins fan.
I'm a former Colts fan.
Are you a Broncos guy now, or do you have a team?
Broncos are about the closest probably to us, or Washington. So I don't know. I don't really have a lot of skin in the game now.
Oh, sure. I can't pull for Seattle. Well, I guess now that Pete Carroll, it's Pete Carroll. I couldn't. He coached at USC again, Notre Dame rival. We never beat him. I'm not bitter, but I'm so bitter.
Yeah.
So while Tim is trying to push people away with his, talk, at least we got Sushi here bringing people back in.
Correct.
Oh,
I should bring my Sushi over here too, and have him kind of make a guest cameo.
He's a little bigger. He's a little bigger than Mike Sushi, though.
Yeah, he's passed out over there by the stairs.
I wish you would pass out. I don't really get to choose when she's on the show. She's like, I need her attention.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's the benefit of living alone, I suppose, and rescuing a dog. She's like, I need your attention now.
Who rescued him?
Yeah. That's awesome.
No one is
safe.
No one is safe.
So, Jeff, since the last time we had you on the show, which was earlier this year, like April or May, I want to say, you have brought along our buddy Wes Todd into the foray of Weather Vane games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm newish to the industry. You know, haven't been doing this that long, and so I really, you know, I came to you guys, and I'm like, you know, I really want to bring on somebody who's got some industry experience and integrity, and you know, oh, sweet, Bob's got his pup up there too. I'm gonna have to get Sushi up.
Hi, Mister. I know.
Come here, Sushi. Come here.
Sorry, go ahead.
Come here to Daddy. You want a treat?
Yes, dog. You're taking over the show.
Man, my dog is upstairs, and I don't want him to figure out how to come downstairs. Oh my gosh, he's adorable.
Oh, sweet baby.
All right, I know you're sleeping.
I believe there was supposed to be a treat involved. You said the T word.
I will bring my pet Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, absolutely.
Awkward. Okay, you want to go down?
My dog's upstairs. I'm gonna leave him there. But yes, what you were saying.
I kind of felt like we needed some industry experience in the roster, and I reached out to West, and he was really a perfect fit. You know, because of his background and his connections, and I'm pretty much, you know, I like designing big games that kind of take you somewhere. He is really, really good at looking at cash flow and looking at, you know, doing small retail products that are affordable impulse buys for people at conventions. He works with a lot of designers, you know, so he's constantly looking at new ideas and new things that we can help bring to market affordably. So between the two of us, you know, I think it's a pretty good fit.
Oh, he's a freaking rock star anyways. I mean, he's an A+ human being. He knows what he's talking about. In my book, if you know West and you don't like him, I don't know if I like you. Like, there's something wrong.
Like dogs.
What's your problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't like dogs, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get along.
I mean, I get along with just about everybody, but like, there's a couple things, right? Red flags.
Well, and also it just happens that West, you know, gained some experience by working with Addicts Games, and helped get Rove funded as well. And you know, Rove does have some similarities to Vrahode, just in the fact that it is a co-op adventure style game.
Yeah, well, he came in a little bit late to kind of help us adjust course on this initial launch, which is fine, right? West has helped in as many ways as he can in the short time that he's been with us. I do think in the future, you know, with him being involved from the get-go, I think it'll be a lot more helpful to have him around. But yeah, this is it's our first launch. We're hoping for as much support as we can get, but we're also realistic that, hey, we're a new company. This is our first title. Nobody knows me. The fact that we're funded at this point in the campaign is great. So yeah, I mean, you got to pay your dues in this industry. I think everybody can agree with that. You've got to pay your dues.
I mean, I feel like you've got a really good and realistic perspective on stuff. I will say that you guys kind of got jobbed on your launch because Kickstarter's site was having like a really tough time. And I know that there are some other game companies that launched the same day as you, and their games are also like not where maybe you would have thought they would have been.
Right.
You know, and that's even more established, you know, publishers,
companies.
Right? With like with a huge track record and a catalog.
Day one was horrible. Day one was horrible. There, you know, it was down half the day, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we were all like trying to look at it, you know, and see what's going on, and you couldn't see, you know, jack squat. It was
nope.
And I'm over here sweating bullets because I've got, you know, friends that have launched stuff, and I just feel, you know, rotten. And I'm really glad though that you guys, you know, you stayed the course, you hung in there. You know what I mean? There's still some time in the campaign. There's still time for it to grow and everything. But I also know, you know, just from like inside baseball and, you know, and knowing you and West a little bit, I also knew like this project's going to be fine. You know, like, you know, it's all there. Well, you guys are almost, I mean, everything's all done, you know, like.
Yeah, we're long-term and, you know, we're going to take our lumps. We're going to put in our time. We're going to earn our spot in the industry. And we're going to show people that this little company can persevere, and we're not just going to, you know, walk away. We, you know, so yeah, we're grateful for the support that we've had so far, and we just know it's going to take a little bit to continue to build our fan base and earn people's trust, and we'll do it. So,
well, I think people are going to see. They're going to when they, excuse me, when they get to see what Vrahode does, in Age of Prophecy. When they get to see that and what that does, and then when the other products, you know what I mean, and the other games that are in that world, start to come out, I really think you're going to see some next level stuff. I would be shocked.
Yeah, I hope so.
Otherwise.
Yeah, but Jeff, you said, you guys are thinking long term, and that's because for those that don't know, Age of Prophecy is really just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you already have 4 other things on the horizon here that you've got a vision for, and have plenty of concepts already ready to fire off. So I'd be curious to get an idea of what do you think makes each one of these a little bit different from the other?
Well, I mean, I think that the important thing takeaway for people, whether they support this initial game or they wait till the core box, the important thing that sets us apart is, one, it's fresh lore. We really put a lot of time and effort into kind of minimizing the amount of space that each of the players has on the table and maximizing the amount of kind of community space, because our rationale for that was the more common space you have in an adventure game for the party, for battles, whatever, the more immersive it is. Right. Mm-hmm. And if you look at a lot of RPG adjacent board games, the player boards are huge, right? They're these huge things, and there's cards and tokens laying everywhere. And we worked really hard to get the player boards as tiny as we could, but also to hold a ton of data points, right? Mm-hmm. You've got them. And so, with the production version of the dashboards, that is the final dashboard for the entire game system. And so I think, kind of like when I used to read books, I would just pick up a book because I was interested in it. And then the more books I read, the more I gravitated towards series, because I wanted to kind of get into the meat of the story and then stay with characters. And I think that's one of the things that Vrahode is going to offer people, is that sense of continuity, right? You're going to start the game. You're going to get used to the dashboard. It's going to become an extension of your hands. And you're going to know what's going on with your hero in this very concise little box, right? And then as we add a few more mechanics and a few more rules to you, once we get to the core box, it's still going to do that job. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to bode well for us, because we stayed in that asset and we continued to iterate on it and listen to people and say, no, we don't want to fiddle with wound tokens. I'm like, okay, fine, let's try dice. And they're like, no, we don't want to fiddle with dice on taking damage. Okay, well, do a tracker. Well, then we did a tracker. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect. No, it's fiddly. So now we've got a tracker with pegs, and we finally got rid of the fiddliness, on the dashboards after the review copies. And so finally we feel like, hey, all of our work and all the feedback and actually getting our hands on that physical copy of the review copies is what gave us the clarity to say, okay, it's done. Let's make the final changes, and now we know what the dashboard's going to look like. So that was a long-winded answer, but
no, man, that's what's important, though. And the other thing that I really appreciated about this, and I even talked to West about it a little bit, because we had a long car ride to Syracuse together, and I think it's awesome when designers, especially somebody like you who has worked so long, just even developing, even if it's internally, right? Developing the story and sort of what you want to do with it, to not be so precious with the mechanics that you're getting in your own way, right? You are evolving and adapting the mechanics to really facilitate the gameplay. I just looked at the BGG. I can't believe it's a 3 weight in complexity, because that blows me away. This game is so straightforward on how to play, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, personally, I'd probably put it at like a 2.5.
Yeah.
I think I would feel a little more comfortable with the 2.5, but I think initially there's a lot, especially for people that aren't used to RPG type games.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's a lot of things to kind of consider, but there are no complex rules. There are 0 complex rules in this system. It's all very, very simple stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, when I was playing it, when West was teaching me, and then actually I got to meet one of your writers, Alex.
Oh, I love Alex. She's wonderful.
She was so cool. And when West was teaching us, I kept overcomplicating, like, oh, so do we need to check for this? And West is like, stop. Right. No, it's not that at all. And I was like, oh. And then once that clicked, because I played so many of these kind of games, Bob as well, right? And even Bob's gone through Gloomhaven, you know, like I've struggled with I've had my struggles with Gloomhaven. But then once I was kind of able to get into the right gear and actually understand, I was like, oh, geez, like this is a breeze. And I said it to Wes. Yeah. I think I might have even said it in one of the videos. I don't remember, but like, this is my daughter's getting ready. She's in middle school now and she's getting ready to go into high school. And like, there's this thing where there's all these, sign up for this club, sign up for this club. And they basically have like an hour before or after school. And I can't get her to sign up for the board game club. I think she's just rebelling against me and it's breaking my heart.
Yeah.
But like, this is a game though, that I could see like a high school board game club, because
Absolutely.
and you could do it in it with the rules overhead and the way that you can play it in that amount of time. You know, Bob and I did a little kind of goof thing before one of the videos where we're like the setup and we just slap the map down on the table, you know, and it's like, I mean, that's the damn setup. You get once you take your card and you put your pegs in the right spot, I mean, you put the map down on the table and you're good. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, imagine Tim and Bob, if you could click, we have these clear covers that go over the dashboards to save your hero's progress. You click it down, throw it in the box. Next time you come out, you literally do slap the map down, pop the cover, and you're ready.
That's badass. That is badass, dude. That's so cool. I'm excited.
That's good thinking.
Mm-hmm. The simplified setup is truly one of the things that stands out to me most about the game, because that's one of the things that's made it very difficult for me to complete almost any campaign game I've ever played. It's digging for a tile 11A, and then I need tile 7B, and then let's connect that to tile 8C. And I don't want to dig for all those tiles. I just want to get right into the gameplay, and Vrahode lets you do that. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I appreciated very early on is that you made a stance that Weather Vane Games would not be using any AI art. And to that point, you have 23 credited artists just in Age of Prophecy.
That's crazy.
I think that is amazing.
And I love how the look still feels like there's a continuity to the look.
It's very cohesive,
like
right?
Jarring from art to art. You know, it looks like it's in the same universe.
Yeah, I think we've got 13 countries represented now as well. So in the whole Vrahode, in the whole game system. And I'll tell you what, though, it's you guys have mentioned continuity several times. There's a couple things that, I mean, when you create a world, right? If you were recreating Earth, okay, you wouldn't have one artist create the Earth. You would have 30 artists create the Earth, right? Because the Earth is varied and different. What I did, I had such a clear vision for Vrahode and what I wanted in it, the inhabitants and the creatures and the flora and fauna, that I just I would give them 2 or 3 different reference images and then just say, run with it. And so a lot of these artists then took a little bit of artistic license and had some fun with things and made them kind of whimsical or so. And it's like, I love it. Let's do it. So we didn't micromanage the artists to death either. So because the creatures needed to feel like they were from different areas and stuff. So I think it worked out. Anyway.
No, agreed, man. I mean, that is it. And again, not being so precious with this baby that you've been carrying, you know, for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's in your brain or actually trying to realize it on the table. and to let other people sort of in and sort of take part and then help grow it. I think it's awesome, and I think it shows. I think that the like Mike was saying, Mike going on about the artists. I mean, he's 100% correct. You have these different artists and stuff, but like Earth, right? There's parts of it that look so different and unique, yet it's all cohesive. You know, it all still feels, you know, like it's part of the same world, right? So, yeah, very cool, man.
A really good comparison. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. That's a good way to talk about it.
All right, guys, trust me, we're not ignoring you. Dave liked our Axis and Allies review, which we just dropped a couple days ago. We appreciate that.
I mean, that review could have been better if I was in it. That's all.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
I'll show myself out.
But also, we got a topic that was picked by Jeff, obviously inspired by the world building of Vrahode. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your topic and what led you to this?
My topic? My topic.
Was it your topic?
Well, I think it makes sense when you talk about world building and you talk about games that story is an integral part. Story is forward. Story is important, critical almost to the play, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about games that really bring their A game when it comes to storytelling, because that's a very niche-y part of the board game space, right? There's tons of worker placement games. There's tons of tableau building games, area control games, right? Even RPG games. Mm-hmm. But the companies that bring really, really solid writing and storytelling to the game experience, there's not that many. I don't think. And I think traditionally, RPGs have had better writing, right? RPGs, because they're so story forward and it's so much about story, that RPG writing has traditionally been way better than board game writing. But that's not the case anymore, you know?
Well, I think now though there's a standard now, right? Because there's so much also crossover between the tabletop role players and the tabletop board gamers. You know, Bob and I definitely have played our share of the role playing games, and so when you are playing a game with a story, and if that story sucks, it drives me nuts. I've bitched about it before, and it's like almost, I wouldn't say ruin games, but it's like, you know, because if the story is integral to what you're doing and it's bad,
sounds like some high school fanfic.
Thank you, Bob, to use my exact critique.
Yep.
I love how Bob panicked. He's like, yeah, it's your topic. Do something with it. Oh my God. Jeff's gone deer in the headlights. That was funny. That was funny.
Hey, if we're not making our guests uncomfortable, what are we doing? That's our job.
We just need everybody. That was the goal.
We just spent 15 minutes telling you how good Vrahode does. So now we're going to wreck you by putting you on the spot. We got to bring you back down to earth, ground you a little bit.
That's right.
It's all about evening out, right? We just got to be even. We're going to give you some good. Then we're going
to. You come in with all that kindness, you know, all that carrot. It's time for a little stick.
Right.
That's right. The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Sounds like my Friday night.
Shame.
So I don't know if a lot of the viewers here are actually from Michigan and they know who Three Floyds is, but like being Whiskey Wednesday, I'm not sure if you can see this bottle or not.
We can't. It's too dark.
Is it too dark? Back
there you go. That's with the glare.
Floyds.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a badass looking bottle, but it's only their batch number 3, so they're just starting. It is a malt whiskey. It's very interesting.
All right, Bob. I might I'm due for a Costco run, and we obviously shop at the same Costco, so I might have to get over there and check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bob, if that bottle's missing after I drop off sushi on Friday, it wasn't me. Totally coincidental. So I might as well bring it out. So this was Bob's belated birthday present to me. He got me Howler Head bourbon. Oh. And this actually has a hint of banana in it. And
cool.
It's not overwhelming or overpowering. I'm actually finding this pretty good.
Nice. Neat. Yeah. I was thinking of After Us, because, old people like talking about the end of days and stuff.
And so you found the bottle with the chimp on it. I see what you did. I'm still working on. This is going to go away real soon because I'm really loving it. But our buddy Jim Cole down in Texas got me this Blackland rye whiskey, and I'm going to need a new bottle soon of something. But yeah, this is really good. I'm a bourbon guy. This is a rye whiskey, but this might have turned me over to some ryes, right? Open me up.
Speaking of Jim Cole, make sure you bring my copy of.
Oh, you mean this really quick? So here's the thing. I'm not sure if Jim is on right now. Jeff, so Jim did the art on his game. So this is Jim Cole's art, which is really grotesque and amazing. Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It is definitely like an awesome horror vibe. It is my style. Yeah. I can dig it. I got a criticism for Jim, though. Bad news for you guys, Mike and Bob and myself. Is he signed the games that he sent us, but he signed the shrink wrap. So you're never going to be able to unshrink.
I'm just going to cut it and then tape it to the inside of the box.
You're never going to be able to unshrink these.
Yeah.
Now, Jim, I will tell you, if you didn't back this game and you want to buy the game, you probably should, because especially if you're like us, because Jim was really cool, and we sent him a picture of Mike and Bob and I. We sent him a picture of us, and he zombified us and put us in the game.
That.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Someday I'm going to be in a game.
Dude, I am so depressed that I have not opened this up so I can pull that card out.
Hey, Tim, your backer number is not on there. Why is your backer number not on there?
Shut up.
Did you see mine? What was mine? 20? It's pretty good.
Yours was way higher than Mike's. Yours was like 200 higher than Mike's.
No, mine was 20.
Yeah, no, yours was 20, and Mike's was 200 behind you.
Yeah, I backed when he revealed that card of us.
200
fine, I'm in.
Listen, I cannot believe it still blows my mind that somebody was crazy enough to let us be on a card in their game. That is a pinnacle achievement in my life.
Right.
We are on the loose board. The card is called loose board, right? Because we're board game rundown, obviously. But so he's like, see what I did there? I was so excited though. I asked him like, hey, how do we get in your game? Could we do that? Is that possible? Is that a thing? And I was kind of nervous to ask because you don't want to overstep. You don't want to abuse friendships and relationships and everything like that. But the fact that he was like, oh yeah, send me a picture, you guys do something, and then we even had to retake it because we didn't have a great angle for what he wanted to do. So we did that again, but he was really awesome and worked with us and allowed us to sort of participate in that. And I just like,
I'm anxious to see it. I want to see it too.
We'll send you a PDF of it or something.
Yeah, I'm
want to see that.
Keep mine sealed, but I'm gonna cut my plastic real careful. And I'm gonna tape it to the inside of the box.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll reveal that very soon once we get our boxes from Tim.
I'm never giving them to you.
Okay, so we got to do games that tell a good story, and I think we're gonna get some very interesting takes on this list.
Yeah, Chris is our resident curmudgeon on the show. Mm-hmm. So if he's not on here blowing us shit, then he's sick, or we need to have somebody go do a wellness check if Chris isn't on here trolling us.
He's committed to his bit though, which I appreciate.
I love it.
He's so committed to a bit when I promoted Devin Metlin's print and play roll and write today. He angry reacted it and said, "No dice? It's a print and play. You got 100 D6s in your house right now."
Yeah. And that's the thing is, if you meet Chris in real life, I'm just going to ruin this real quick for everybody. He's a very nice dude, and he is super fun to play games with. Now, he's totally a smartass. Be ready for it. But I was at a meetup one time, and I had my kids with me, and he was so good, right? We set up, we played Marvel United. He let my kids play. He played with us, but he did a really nice job of teaching it. He was very patient. So under that really crusty, grumpy experience, he's a great dude. And so he can come on my channel and troll us anytime. I'm happy. Anytime. I'm happy for it.
On brand.
Yeah. On brand.
Well, I don't know that I've ever met Chris, but I would like to.
Yeah,
he's like someone I get along with well.
And he would be very happy to tell you all the things that he thinks is wrong with your kid.
No, I'm sure. Yeah. Where were you when we were playtesting, Chris?
Right. But anyways, yeah.
All right. Eventually, we got a top 5 we got to get to.
Oh yeah.
We'll do it. We'll get there. Jeff, I'm just so happy to have you, man. It's really. I'm glad you're here, dude.
Hey, you guys are great.
I'm excited to see the picks. It's always great to have you, Jeff. We appreciate you. And this is a fun topic because I'm gonna let Bob start off, of course, because we're gonna go on that side and work our way back to me. My experience with story-driven games is very, very different than these other two gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. I bet mine is as well.
Well, and so I was kind of torn because I've got games that I have stories from, and then I've got games that the story drives. And for me, with board games, there's like a big thing with if a board game can give you an experience where now you are constantly telling that story is part of your zeitgeist, right? Right. Of your lexicon. Like, how epic was that game? That game could have been one of the most terrible games you've ever played, but the stories you got from it, right, are amazing. And that's a bonding thing within the hobby, that brings groups together. But there's a ton of really good story-driven games. So I was really torn with my list. So I've got some alternates that I may use just to avoid some crossover with these guys. And I do that because I like to talk about as many games as possible. I mean, it's a boring list if we all have the same 5 games. I think that there's so many games that deserve attention and love and to be talked about.
I agree.
And I will also say that everybody can cross off on your bingo card Tim Panders, because I didn't put Vrahode on my list because it is not a published game.
You know what? So Vrahode is a prologue, right, to a fantasy series. So you're fine.
So it's not published, so it violates the rule. Here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate your candor and your honesty.
So on point.
Yep.
I mean, when is the Chris Hates Game channel starting up? Like, I'm here for it.
Hey, we're only 45 minutes in. Okay, you calm down.
We could get Chris to do a segment just called the Haterade, and we could just have Chris on.
Back to you.
once a month, and it's 3 seconds. That sucked.
Yeah.
That's
usually when he chimes in, he's like, "Why am I watching this show? It sucks."
Yeah.
We need to get Chris on for a Whiskey Wednesday and just call it all games suck.
Every game sucks.
Every game.
We just go through BGG, the top 100, and he tells us why every one of those games is terrible.
Sucks.
That one would hit, though. That's the thing.
Oh, it would, right? The more negative, the better.
And even though Chris hates story games, Tim's angle on games that you have stories about kind of escapes Chris's guillotine. So maybe we can skirt around this issue with Chris.
I spent my whole life skirting the guillotine. Let's go.
Spent all day dodging 2 today.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I had 2 audits at the same time going on for work. Not like, oh no, we're doing bad things, but like we have to do them every year. One was planned and the other one has to be a surprise. And they both happened at the same time. And my boss is like, well, who did you piss off that this happened? So today was potentially like the worst day of work ever. It's fine.
It's over.
It's over. Well, I still have one that's still going on, but it's the one I know I'm going to ace.
Like a few days.
Yeah, I'm going to ace that one.
Here's the day being over, Tim. Clink.
Yeah. Clink, indeed. Cheers. Spend it with friends, man. That's how we do it.
Amen.
Yep.
I have not played that.
Oh, and that game is pure story.
Yeah. What is that? Prison Simulator? Yeah.
Yeah. Tales of the Arabian Nights. All right. So yeah, Mike is doing a really good job of trying to get us back on track. So we should honor that a little bit.
Fine.
As much as I love poking the big bear up there and making his life difficult, we should probably get into our list. Mike, are you ready?
I'm ready. You've turned Midwestern goodbyes into Midwestern intros.
I'm Midwestern at my core.
Oh, sorry there. Excuse me.
Hey there, buddy.
Before you guys give your 5, I definitely want to hear your reasoning for how you created your lists here. So,
all right, Hoop, you first.
Yep, we're gonna start with Bob's number 5. Oh.
All right. Oh, yep. There you go, Brandon.
Oh, Bob.
What?
Tell everybody to thumbs up the show.
Yeah. Obviously, thumbs up the show, right? Like, subscribe. Make sure you're ringing the bell, doing all those fun YouTube things.
You got it. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And speaking of appeasing elder gods and strong beings, my number 5 actually got to play it over this past weekend with some great friends. And speaking of shitty minis, Mansions of Madness had some of the worst minis that I've ever played.
Yes.
However, they tell a great story, and there's all these expansions you can get. They all tell fantastic stories, and you play through them. You work together to explore things. Stuff is happening. Like we played this one where like the rooms are moving around, and you have to close all these portals and everything, and you got to do these different riddles and puzzles, and it was fantastic. Like it's a fun game to play with people that you love. It tells a great story. It can last a long time, but man, we smoked it. We did really well. We all worked together.
And you played 2nd edition, right?
Yeah, 2nd edition.
Yeah, the app-driven version.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the version.
That's the better one. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and even like my Magic buddies, like I played that with them a few times, and they come back and they like to request that one to play it again because they enjoy the stories that the game tells. So. Yeah,
that's a great pick, man. That's a great pick. And again, a good example of how the story, right?
Yeah.
Because whether you win or lose, also there's the kind of the post-mortem after, the debriefing after the game.
Man, you went over here. Oh, I can't believe like you couldn't shoot that thing. And yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know Wayne is probably not watching now because he just lost power, but so let's just everybody. Hey Wayne, down in Tampa, we're thinking of you, buddy. I know they'll be fine. I have faith and I believe that they'll be fine, but it's never easy, right? It's always a thing. Yeah. So I just saw those messages pop through on the Discord, so he's probably
hopefully he filled his tub up with water. I hear that's a thing to do before all that happens. And that way you can use it to like flush your toilet and stuff like that. So you can,
sure. Okay, so let's get back into like not as depressing and sad stuff.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, Tim.
Yeah. Well,
But no, it's I hear you.
That's what I do. Highs and lows. We got to balance out. Okay, so I'm just going to go with one that has great stories and also tells a story at the same time. And so my number 5 is going to be Betrayal at the House on the Hill. This is a game that is some people have problems with, because depending on the story you get, it could feel unbalanced, or it's maybe not the cleanest or the tightest mechanics, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing is I play board games for the experiences that I get. So if I'm going to play an imperfect game and I'm playing with an awesome group of people, or again, we come away with a fun story from it, who gives a shit? Like, we're having a good time. We're playing games. We're like, can you believe this happened? It's very similar to what Bob was just talking about with Mansions of Madness. There's so many different possibilities that you can get when you play Betrayal. And if you add the Widow's Walk expansion, I'm just going to talk about not the newest edition, I guess, or the Legacy, which I would love to play, Betrayal Legacy. I think that would be amazing.
That more than the basic version.
But the basic version to me is so much fun because you just have no idea what's going to happen, and you're going to get different, you're just going to get different stories. 90% of the time you play that game, you're going to get different stories. And I just really enjoy that game. Crazy things can happen. I remember playing that game with my niece, and she turned out to be the villain, and she was like 12 at the time. Now she's in college, which is crazy to me, but she just loved it, right? Because now she's like hunting down me and her dad, and her aunt. And I think we had turned into like miniaturized versions of ourselves, you know what I mean? And then she's going around and trying to like capture us, and we're trying to find a way to escape. I don't remember all the details. It doesn't matter. She had a formative experience playing that game, and will always enjoy playing board games, because of things like this. And this game tells a different story all the time. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It can be flawed at times, but I don't care. I really don't. If we're having a good time playing, that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. If a game also has great mechanics and it's really smooth, even better. But if it's super fun, it's worth the effort. It's worth the grind. But yeah, Betrayal at House on the Hill can be an uneven game for people that are concerned with that and really care about that. But for me, that is an experience game, and I don't care. As long as everybody at the table is having a good time, is kind of into it, we're aces. So Betrayal at the House on the Hill, my number 5.
Nice.
Another good one. Yeah. My turn.
Yep. Yes, sir. Don't blow it.
Okay. Well, this one's going to be a little bit out of left field, but
go for it. Let's go.
It goes along with the theme. I think we're kind of talking about mystery or horror. It's that time of year, right? We're in October now.
Let's do it.
And I think if you can survive the mental anguish that Dawn of Madness by Dimension Games causes. This is a game that will unravel your mind.
I've heard of this game.
It's better with a lower number of players.
I like that box.
It's so story forward. And it is the story of people falling apart. Mentally falling apart.
Oh my God.
Dude.
It is dark. It is heavy. It's a bit like trying to read Lord of the Rings. It's just heavy. But there's so much richness to the story. I love Byron Leavitt, the designer. He also had a great big hit with Deep Madness and did some cool expansions. So
that's how I knew this guy.
Yeah, if he and Byron, you meet Byron, and he's just the nicest and sweetest guy, and just soft spoken and kind and patient. To think that this stuff comes out of his mind is just insane. And I know he has writers help him, but look at this imagery. The writing is darker than this even. So I think if you want to take a really, really crazy journey and you're already you're stable mentally, I wouldn't recommend this for anybody dealing with depression.
Oh, sure.
But if you're good and solid, this is a spooky son of a gun.
Yeah, man, it looks crazy.
Dude, this looks incredible.
Amazing.
Oh, very, very beautiful. And the thing is, it's a rarer gem than you know, the Betrayal or Mansions of Madness. This is an expensive big game, but you really feel the investment of quality writers in this product. So take a risk on this one.
This is now, if this was my pick, which it's not, this would be the, hey, Tim hipster pick, right? You know, you got a nice deep cut. Dude, I love this stuff. And this is right up my alley. I absolutely love, you know, the dark and twisted. You got to watch out for the dudes that seem nice.
Well, I'll tell you what, too. The thing that's cool about this game is the journeys that you take. There's separate journeys of madness. And so it's like you get it's I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the show that was on late at night with Rod Serling, and it was called Gallery of Horrors or
Night Gallery.
Night Gallery. This is like Night Gallery because you get to play as different characters that are each experiencing a mental breakdown. So pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's rad, man. That is really rad. I've heard of this game, but I don't know that I had known anybody that had played it.
I have mostly done a lot of reading in this because I live on the side of a mountain in Montana, so I don't have a very robust gaming group. So for me, a lot of my experiences with story forward games come with just my curiosity and just wanting to kind of go through them, figure out how the game works, and really immerse myself in the story. And this is one that, wow.
That was me in high school in the early 90s, just reading role-playing game books when I didn't have, before I had a group, I was still buying up books and like source books because I loved the lore, you know what I mean? And sort of that world, you know, and so, yes, when you get that, because I played Deep Madness, right? And that vibe, you know, really comes through. So that's awesome.
With you.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, like a couple weeks ago, we did a topic about like artists and things like that. Like some of these prints, like I think would be badass, just like in a frame, hanging on the wall.
Absolutely.
Like, there's just been some
seriously
art. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
okay, I will go hipster really quick. So I grew up, my dad and I have, it is one of my favorite, I guess, poets. But the way that he did his poetry, he engraved it into tablets, was William Blake, for example, right? So William Blake has a lot of really trippy, stylized sort of art. Now that's early 1800s. You know, like if you've seen Red Dragon, that is William Blake. And stuff like that. And so definitely, like, I grew up, we had a lot of William Blake prints around the house, I guess is what I'm getting at. Now they're not as disturbing as like Herminius Bosch. So if you really want to see some crazy stuff, look up some BOSCH Herminius Bosch stuff. That stuff will like really freak you out, right?
Yeah.
But some of the William Blake stuff is very cool. And while this is way more modern and updated, it's kind of like Bob was saying, you can look at some of these art prints and these, and they kind of tell their story, you know, like it wouldn't be that weird if you saw a poem, you know what I mean? Or a very short story right underneath this.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess that's where a very long way to just get to that, where it would make sense where if you just saw like a little short story under there. Yeah. H.R. Giger, right? Giger. 100%, right? Designer of the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool.
I really like this image here.
Mm-hmm.
The depth created here.
I mean, that just feels unsettling, and you don't even know why. You know?
It's it. There's so much mystery
back out of it, like that. Who does that? Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrick with the forced perspective.
Things like elongate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is one I'd want on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, the zoom feature. It's either like oh, let's zoom into like a single pixel.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Let's get that dark corner.
Yeah, that's what it does. It's
as a joke. Let's tell Bob that corner is like red or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's a TV with an image on it.
A very dark red, Bob.
Oh, okay. So dark it's black.
Yeah.
This is a great pick. I do not know anything about this game, and I am just blown away by the imagery.
I've never seen that box. Had I seen that box art, I'd have picked it up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, and I think
this alone would draw me in.
If you trust what the success of Deep Madness had as his first one, it got critical acclaim.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in large part because it didn't have super complex mechanics. It had solid writing and great storytelling.
Yes. I played a little bit of Deep Madness and really enjoyed sort of the Cthulhu mythos, it just kind of hangs out in that spectrum, right? On that wavelength of some weirdness, look
at that review rating though. 87 ratings at an 8.6. That's solid.
Yeah, that's something.
It's solid.
Heavy too, like you were saying, 4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4. It is kind of heavy, but that's not always bad.
I don't mind that.
No, if it's worth the ride, dude, it's worth the ride. I mean, that's what's up. If it's going to be that heavy, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heavy for heavy's sake, nobody cares.
Nope.
But if it's a good ride, it's worth it.
Yep. All right, Mike, what you got?
Top that.
Mike,
I
top
can't.
that. I'm glad you're following him and not me.
I know. So here's the thing. Here's where the list starts to steer off a little bit.
My little scythe.
I grew up playing a lot of just mass market games, party games, and then like about 12 years ago, my uncle showed me Lords of Waterdeep, and then my first group played a lot of Euros. So I never have really had a group that's played a lot of story-driven games.
Yep.
And so therefore, I've never really played that many story-driven games.
Yep.
I have kind of notoriously said that campaigns have been difficult for me to get through, and a lot of that has to do with the cumbersome setup each time you want to come back to them. I never finished Pandemic Legacy. I never finished Jaws of the Lion. I never got anywhere close to playing through Frosthaven. So what you're going to see from my list is not necessarily story-driven games. It's going to be games where you become the narrator and you create your story as you play that game, and not necessarily story-driven games. So slightly a different twist.
Yeah. Well, Tim had a different twist too on
That's great. But I know the guys are going to like my first one here because it's not necessarily a Euro with a story twist on it, like some of my other one is going to be. Yeah, there you go. Hey, this is not as egregious as Tim picking cannibal games when we were doing food games. All right?
Listen, they were all food. It's just perspective, Mike.
Right.
All right. Well, this is my perspective. My number 5 is Dubious.
Dude, this is a great game. Don't give me some bullshit about this being a bad pick. That's a great pick.
No, I didn't say the picks were bad. I was providing context for my list.
Oh, Mike's like, well, I don't know if my list is going to be any good. And you hit a freaking home run right off the bat. How dare you set the bar so low? This is exactly what this list is meant for, Mike.
You got to under-promise and over-deliver, Tim.
My dating profile in a nutshell.
Here's my question. Why is Dubious a 6.9 though? That seems like it ought to be a 7.5 or more.
It should be.
Dude, Dubious is so good.
It really should be. So really what this game is it's actually a deduction game, but you're given like a character. Now, the only version that I played was where we were not given modern roles. We were given fantasy roles. Ooh. So you either play a barbarian or you play a mage or you play a role. and you are going to try to get people to figure out what your role is, and what your profession is. And you're going to do that by basically telling a story. You're going to be asked 5 questions, and then you need to provide a couple sentences, a paragraph that provides a backstory for what your character is. But this has a little bit of, you want some people to get it, but not everyone to get it, because that's how you score points. But really the fun is creating this backstory for your character and finding a creative or funny way to tell everybody what your role in your story is.
I would love that.
And that's what I have fun with. I don't always get into diving into other people's story. I like kind of making my own story as I
We get
play
it. You're
the
very
game.
Selfish.
Yes, correct. My story is more interesting than the one you made.
Right.
No, I just like that games that force me to reach into the left side of my brain.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy, and I think Dubious accomplishes that very well.
Okay, Mike, again, fantastic pick, dude. Don't come in like, well, I mean, I think this game, and then you pick like I was expecting like the driest Euro with barely a theme.
Teutonica.
Or maybe you're like, like Scout, because the theme is really important in that game. Like, no, Mike, you picked a game that is like tailor-made for this category. It's literally storytelling. Yep. It is the key component of the game. I'm just saying, unfortunately for you, Mike, you've set the bar very high.
Yep.
You should have saved that for your one.
Well, it's all, according to your reaction, it's all downhill from here then.
Because like if you didn't give that intro that you did to this, Bob and I would have been, Mike understood the assignment. Now we'll see what the rest of the list looks like.
Yeah.
But it's gonna get a little different from here. Not necessarily with the next pick, but there's a couple that you guys will scoff at. So.
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm sure.
We live to scoff at you,
we
Mike.
Scoff at your list all the time.
I know.
So
yeah,
I know. I'm used to it. But again, it's you're not gonna find a lot of.
This is Mike as you see his.
Tim's in Tampa. Are you okay, Tim?
I just got canceled. That's insensitive.
You are just setting the bar. You won't find any campaign like story-driven games in my list because I just haven't played that many.
That's okay.
But I will say, and this is just flat out telling it like it is. What intrigues me about Vrahode is that you can just start playing. Just pull out that player board, set the map down, and just start playing. And that draws me into games no matter what. And that really intrigues me. I want to play more of it.
Okay, so let's create a bingo square where Mike panders instead of Tim.
Yeah. Checks in the mail,
Mike. Roll tonight. Let me start alienating people.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's your next thing, Mike.
I really love
All right. Let's get this downhill slope going. We're for 4.
Number 4. So for my number 4, yes, there's sort of a story that happens as you play through this game, but it's more the story, like Tim was saying, that it leaves you with, and you tell over and over again. In my opinion, it definitely is better when you play it semi-co-op or with private objectives. But Nemesis is fantastic and leaves you with an awesome story when you play through there. Like we've had this experience where it was like I had this egg, and my private objective was I needed to get on a
escape pod,
and there's a guy who's good with electronics, controlling the boards, and he needs this egg I got, and I'm like, turn on the pod, I'll give you the egg, right? Like, toss me the whip, I'll give you the idol. And it's just this awesome story that like evolves from playing this game, and it can take a long time to play. But oh my goodness, does it really lend itself to some great story and thematic moments that happen throughout? and it's really good. I have issues with some of the way things are done. I think Lockdown is a better game, but I've had better stories with Nemesis.
I will say, don't play Nemesis with new people at a very high player count.
Correct.
Like keep it at like 4 if you're going to play with new people.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a
great play semi-co-op and use the private objectives, because that
what you're saying
really
is, Tim,
twists the game.
Don't play the base game full co-op with 4 new players and 6 total.
100% do not ever do that if you want to enjoy your experience with Nemesis.
Patrick did own up to it. He's like, well, they tried to suggest it and he didn't listen, and he should have. So.
Okay, good for Patrick.
Yep.
That's my brother-in-law, Jeff. They just played it last weekend. And I would have called him out on it.
Yep. So
what a game.
Not my brother-in-law, so I didn't get to call him out on it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. He's stuck with me, so I can say whatever the hell I want.
Right. Yeah.
He also hosts and lets us stay in his guest house. So again, I did not call him out on it.
Again, I'm family, so I can say whatever the hell I want, but also he's a great dude and owned up to it. So I respect that. I mean, but I'd expect nothing less.
Exactly.
And I'm a good sport.
And you are, Mike.
There were times it got really interesting, and it was actually when the one guy died and started playing as the aliens and fighting against us. Now, the bad part was it dragged the game on, but that was the most tense part of the game, was when I actually wasn't sure if I was going to get back to the base and be able to hibernate. Like, he actually made it close.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that's good. I'm glad you had an experience like that, because that does help, right? That adds into it. Jeff, I'm going to assume that you are a fan of the movie Alien. If you like Nemesis, it's one of
Alien. Well, Ridley Scott is in my top 5 directors of all time. So
there you go. Yeah. So right, dude. Right. So yeah, Nemesis does a really good job of sort of capturing that atmosphere, that theme, and that vibe. I will say, especially the first version of that game, don't, unless you're ready for it, don't play that at max player count with new people and expect a fast, easy experience.
Yeah, and a Lockdown might end up providing those types of stories and stuff. I haven't played it enough times to where it's kind of come out. I've played Nemesis more. I've had more exposure with that one, and we've played it the semi-co-op mode, and that has really.
And Bobby, that's where it's at, man.
Yep.
That is where it's at for sure. Agreed.
So. Great pick, Bob.
Yeah. I'm gonna go way lighter with my number 4. But here's the thing is, again, a game that sort of tells a story, but it gets people engaged, and they are 100% focused on this game while we're playing it. And they're dialed in. And that is Micro Macro Crime City. This thing is insane, and it should not work, but it does. So what this game is, and sort of as a child of, I mean, I was born in 78, but like in the early 90s, late 80s, there was a thing where like you would get like these posters. They would be like a really busy scene, and it's not just Where's Waldo, right? Yeah. Like I had a Notre Dame one. And it was like the south end zone, or the north end zone. So you see Touchdown Jesus in the back, but you could look through that whole very busy picture and see all of these. And find all of these crazy things going on in the crowd.
Yep.
Right. So Micro Macro is sort of that. You're going to decide what case you're going to try to solve. And you are going to then pull out that series of cards. And the board is essentially this big paper map that unfolds. And so now you are looking, and so it might say in quadrant like J7. So then you go down and you look at J7 and a murder occurred. And now it's like, okay, who do you think did the murder? And so you're going to look through this whole map, looking at the clues and try to figure out where they came from and tracing back different things. And so once you answer one question, it's going to ask you another question. And then you're going to look through this map and try to resolve that. Like, well, where did they come from? Or how did they, where did they get the murder weapon? You know what I mean? And things like that. And so you're bopping around this gigantic, really cool, fully illustrated map and putting together this story. And the cases in there have different complexity levels. So there's definitely some that I can do with my kids that are, and again, they're super engaged the whole time because they're looking at this very busy map where there's all these characters like all around. And I don't even think that's a current, that looks like almost like a prototype-y kind of map there you're showing, Mike. Because it's almost like these stylized cartoon characters, like they almost have like big rabbit ears. Like there's different, just kind of dudes walking around this map, but it's very cool. It's very fun. And again, you kind of are, it's sort of like, we were talking about off camera, like enjoying shows that sort of have like a puzzle box kind of thing to them where you're getting little pieces of the puzzle. And as you watch or you go through a movie or a TV show, you're learning and you're gaining more information, right? And you're putting this puzzle together. Micro Macro Crime City does a really good job of just kind of flexing that part of your brain where you're putting this puzzle together and you're telling these different stories that are all going on simultaneously, because you're going to look at while you're looking at the map, you're like, well, that dude just did this. That doesn't apply to this story, but I bet on a different case, like that's going to be important. That's going to be important. And as you go through and do the different cases, it's super fun. It's very engaging. Sometimes with my kids, like we have done this before, where we will just look at a little scene or something that's happened, and I just look at my daughter and I go, "What do you think's going on here?" And I just let her tell me whatever she thinks is happening, and it doesn't matter. You would think I'm Italian with how much I talk with my hands.
Hey, bobbity boobity.
Hey.
No pillaging, Tim. Okay, we're doing a show.
Yeah, it's a Viking accent. But no, I just really love like all of this stuff and how engaging this board is and what this game does in a very small box. Yeah. Really.
It's definitely interesting.
So again, it's not going to necessarily be for everybody. And because I think you're playing it for sort of the experience, and maybe for like harder core gamers, the novelty of it. But if I can put that map down in front of my kids and I'm like, what do you think's happening here?
Yeah.
And they start walking through it and just getting their brains to work. Who cares? You know, they're having a good time. Like they're being creative. They're really, it gets those juices flowing. It's such a great like starter for that. I love it. And I will always appreciate it. And but so yeah, Micro Macro, like it had to be on my list for that because of whether you're actually working on solving the cases, which do tell a story. As you solve each case, it has a story. Or you just use that as an opportunity to develop stories and kind of come up with your own stories. Super fun and very cool. I love it. So yeah, that's my number 4. There you go, Mike. I'm going to go weird with it without setting the bar super low.
This game has always intrigued me, and I've been bored by like figure out who did it games. Like Chronicles of Crime just bored me to tears.
Okay.
But opening up this map and just searching it for visual clues intrigues the hell out of me.
It's very engaging, Mike. I will tell you that, dude. If you want to try it sometime, I'll bring it over. I freaking love it. Any excuse to bust this thing out, I love it.
It's cool. They can't have too many people hovering over the same area.
Oh, that's true.
It's cool that they were able to do it with low production. You know, it's just black and white. This whole time, though, I'm seriously just sitting here thinking how cool it would be to have a colored version of that with everything just all these cool colors. But then those little lenses you put on the map, you wouldn't be able to see them. But it would be kind of cool to see like a high gloss version of this where everything's full color.
I would pay for like a deluxe edition.
Yeah.
I think those little lenses that those people are putting on it, that doesn't come with the game.
Okay,
that's stuff that people are doing on their own.
It comes with these cubes, then maybe.
I don't think it does. Dude.
It doesn't come with anything.
No. It comes with a map and a deck of cards.
Very cool.
The magnifier.
Where's my macro? I don't know that it comes with a magnifying glass.
No, it does.
Hold on.
It's literally right there in the picture. It's got the name on it.
Yep. There it is, people.
That was totally upside down too.
Live unboxing. Here we go. Look, there's this rule book, some of this, a map that's folded up, and cards. No magnifying glass.
What? You had one?
So cool though.
You lost it.
I did not have one.
I played this with you, Tim. There was one.
Not in my. You played my sister's. You didn't play mine.
We played it at the store.
No magnifying glass. I don't lose stuff, Bob. How dare you?
Inferior version.
Oh, yeah, well, you lost this a long time ago, and you never realized it. Oh.
What is that?
It's out of my Flip 7.
Oh, you just grabbed that. You liar. Anyways, Macro Crime City. Super fun, very unique game. Not going to be for everybody, but for me, really fit this list very well.
Very cool.
What you got, Jeff?
Well, I want to start with offering real quick. This is not my pick, my number 4 pick, but a game that we always had lots of stories to tell about after playing was Shogun, or Samurai Swords from Milton Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex-wife got the nickname War Bitch from playing that game.
I love it.
It's a fun little feudal Japan area control game if you've never played it. But I grew up on the Master Series, Fortress America, Broadsides and Boarding Parties,
yes,
Conquest to the Empire, Axis and Allies, all those. I grew up on those. So Shogun was just such a fun, light, Ashigaru spearmen and gunners, and you're chucking dice. And anyway, my pick, I want to stay on the theme, kind of Halloween still for one more that I think is definitely worthy of a look. It's very story forward again, but by a very different company than Dimension Games. This one is Ether Fields.
Ooh, I just got this game. Have not played it yet, though.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I kickstarted it. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, Ether Fields is about dreams and nightmares. And I'm not going to say it's not got some shortcomings. It's not a perfect game, but it's unique. And I applaud the uniqueness of it. And the storytelling is exceptional again, and it's symbolic, metaphorical. So really playing this game, you almost have your own experience playing it because you take away some things from the game that are kind of personal based on some of the symbolism. So kind of cool. Again, whenever I pick favorite games, a lot of times mine are going to have great art because I'm just such a visual guy, a visual thinker.
Fantastic art in this.
Yeah.
And to me, again, it's kind of like the last pick I had with Dawn of Madness. The art is haunting and beautiful. So
artist, I gotta look.
That is my number 4, Ether Fields from Awakened Realms.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey,
One
Mike,
of
I don't know if you
these
saw that ad that was at the top of the screen, but side note, the guy who did Hadrian's Wall has a new game coming.
Yeah, it's a spin. Yeah, it's Hadrian's Wall on crack.
We don't have to go on that now. I saw that, and so yeah, I thought it was neat.
So it's always hard to tell on BGG who actually does what when it comes to artists and the credits. But this particular artist also did the art for a lot of Awakened Realms games here.
Fantastic art.
Yes. I was just very curious about who did the art in this game because it just looks really, really good. and another one who did work for Awaken Realms as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
Oh, that's right. Because Awaken Realms kind of has like a group of like 14 hired artists that they keep on hand now. Yeah, really great imagery in this game too. I was gonna say it before you did. I'm like, you picked another one with just really moody and dark art, and I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of me.
Here's the thing about Jeff: if you meet him, he's so nice and friendly and positive.
I also like moody and dark art.
Yeah, Playboard.
It just like evokes an emotion from me. It makes me feel something.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sweet. I like moody and dark music for that very same reason.
Yeah, my favorite song for the longest time was "Down in a Hole" by Alice in Chains. That's about as depressing as you can get.
Oh, man, good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I found myself as I get older, I listen to more and more Alice in Chains.
But sadly, it starts to feel like it applies more and more. Hey, by the end, if you come out as the rooster, you're good. That's the thing.
So
but they're always coming for you.
I'll answer this question real quick. If you don't have Dwellings of Eldervale, 100% pick up Andromeda's Edge because it takes the core mechanics and improves them.
Right.
And I already think Dwellings of Eldervale is a great game. And all I'm seeing from watching rules videos is that they've improved so many things about Dwellings that I would definitely get it.
Okay, so Andrew, also I'll say this really quick. Come to the Tabletop Adventure Con that we'll be at in a few weeks. I will trade you Mike's copy of Dwellings of Eldervale for anything you have in your collection. I don't care. It can be a deck of bicycle cards. It must be complete, though. I want both Jokers, and I want it in a nice tuck box.
And the ad cards.
Right.
Tim, here's the thing, though. We've already determined that there's a Dwellings trade I'm finally willing to make, and it's for Bob's copy of Andromeda's Edge.
Yeah. Hold on. I promised your copy of Dwellings to like 30 people.
This is a running joke.
It is.
He is going to. I am going to see him at Nerdapalooza though, so he's going to that.
Yeah, so we'll trade it then.
There you go.
All right, Mike. What do you got for 4?
All right, my number 4. This is kind of more of a party game. I've played it with all of you guys, and we've had a blast with this. And this is another game where you are creating your own story as you play. It's Adventure Party from Smirk and Dagger. So this game is so unique for a story game because the whole premise here is you are an adventuring party. One person's a rogue and one person draws the barbarian and another person is the mage. But really the whole catch to this game is everybody's got a D20. You're on your turn. You're going to go clockwise. We got, say, a story that we're working on. So this particular one is Sinking Sands, Shipwreck. We're going to try to destroy this hideous monster over here. The first person, say it's the rogue, they're going to look at their little sheet. And, of course, like a typical rogue, they're good at picking locks and pickpocketing, acrobat. And, of course, they've got a dagger, a short sword, and a bow. They're going to roll that D20. That D20 is going to tell them how successful their attempt at killing the monster was. But you're not going to tell them you rolled a 13. You are going to evoke a story that allows other people to try and guess what you rolled on your turn. And that is so freaking clever. I love it. You are on a scale of 1 to 20. Can your story get the other people to guess what you rolled? And yeah, it's got kind of some sort of light. Okay, if you're 1 point away, you get a couple XP, and if you're 2 points away, you get 1 XP. And at the end of the game, you'll tally up the XP to see what the team scored. But it's those stories that you create as you play this game that makes the game, and it is very fun to play. Yep. We played this at Gen Con.
I was going to ask you if you played this with us at Gen Con, Mike. I couldn't remember.
Absolutely. We have pictures of playing this with Parakeet Griffin and Jim Cole. And I believe we even played this with Andrew down here at Origins. And notoriously, Tim did not get to play because he was not at Origins.
If only there was a meme to commemorate that.
So
what was that, Bob?
So this was such a good pick. It was my number 2.
I had it written down.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story game. It's literally story driven. I remember it was at Tim and I think it was Dan.
Yeah.
The darkness for like
that's the thing. That's the thing. So Jeff, we had Dan and I. Okay, so we were like the first 2 to go. And the thing was, we're trying to get into this crypt that we knew had a vampire in it. And I believe there was like 2 other like vampire helper kind of dudes.
Right.
And so we needed to sneak into this thing. Dan goes first and he rolls really badly, like a 2, or maybe even a 1. And he's like, I'm going to go in first and I'm going to scout it out and I'll let you guys know. And Dan goes in and goes, I don't know. It was really dark. It's really hard to tell what's going on in there. So I'm the rogue and it's my turn next. I also roll a 2.
Oh.
So I go, guys, it's really dark. I didn't find any traps, but it's really dark. And it was so funny. Like the whole table just is going nuts. And like Bob was saying, and Mike, it's like the story, right? Like we're all telling this story. It's crazy.
I love it.
We're all freaking out and laughing, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And if you roll a 20 and you go first, you can't just go, hey, I went in there and I crit hit it and I killed it. You've got to still make it through the whole party.
Right. The point is to make the story last to the last person. So you advance the story with what you're doing, but you don't finish it until the last person goes and they finish off the story.
I think that the most amazing part of this game is it takes something that is so traditionally busy, complicated, lots of minutia, and it just bakes it down to the pure fun.
Dude,
I love that.
There's literally a line in the rule book that says a great story trumps any rule in this rule book.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Awesome.
That is
very cool.
You're absolutely right. Above all, this game is just completely fun to play.
Yeah.
And the majority of my role-playing game experience is video games, and my goal is to make up a ridiculous character name and make them look as stupid as possible. So when I play this game, I make up a stupid character name and just try to make my story as ridiculous as possible. It is so fun.
Good pick, Mike.
Mike, you are among friends because Bob and I played in a years-long D&D character or campaign where my character was a bard named Heinrich the Entertainer.
And I was Benjamin Beelzebub Bellabubby.
Yeah, you were.
I've played a D&D one-shot once, so I would love to do it more just to create stupid backstories and then come up.
Oh, that's
with
where it's
voices.
at, man.
Any excuse to come up with funny voices, I'm in.
That's where it's at.
All right, good stuff.
Good stuff.
Let's get to Bob's 3.
So, my number 3, while the story of this game is terrible, it has definitely led to some fantastic stories and some great nights of gaming. But Letters from Whitechapel, I love the debrief, like going back through and talking about, I was right here, you were right there, you went to arrest, you could have just arrested me instead of looked, and you would have had me. Like, I've had such great stories happen playing this game, and you know, it's one of those 1v minis and hidden movement games that just lends itself so well to like a recap of everything that went down. And it's, like I said, obviously the original story is terrible, but the game is so much fun, and I love that cat and mouse trying to outwit everybody, going back and forth, and then talking about it later on and creating that story of like, man, you almost had me. I was just slipped through your fingers, and I was able to get back to my hideout. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Very cool. Good pick.
Famously really like slash fiction. See what I did there?
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
No, I couldn't really tell because you were buffering.
Oh, damn it. A good joke, too.
Yep. Want. That's right. My intelligence is 4. Outrageous.
Dude, that movie's so underrated.
It is.
No, that's a good pick. If you haven't played Letters from Whitechapel, it's obviously based on the Jack the Ripper murders. The very cool thing is it's all it makes a concerted effort to be very historically accurate. So I think if you're going to cover something that, is like, oh, that's rough, at least represent it, as true as you can.
Fairly as you can, yeah.
Yeah, and this game is super fun. Again, there's so many times that Bob and I have played this where we've been so close to catching him.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good Jack. But I remember, like, here's another story. So I was Jack one time. We played. I did really well. I managed to get away. We played again, and Patrick wanted to be Jack, and it was like literally turn 2, and I was like, you know what? I arrest right here, and he's like, you got me. And so
he was so mad too.
Game of Letters from Whitechapel.
He was so mad, Bob.
It was awesome.
Like, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you do that? Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that. And again, I think the whole vibe and spirit of the list is the stories that we come away with. Not only the stories that are being told as we play these games, but the stories that we tell, during and after the games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my number 3, and this kind of occurred to me later as I really started to kind of think about the list and, along those parameters, my number 3 is going to be Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Because this game is, yes, it is at its core, you're really one person is secretly the murderer, right? And everyone else has murder weapons and things in front of them. And the killer is going to pick in front of them, like the murder weapon and the location. Isn't that what it is? Is it there's something that.
No, well, it's the murder weapon and the because there's 2 bits of information.
There's 2 bits. I forget what the other bit is. There's 2 clues in front of the murderer that they're going to select, and then but the whole idea is that they need to pick things that are sort of ambiguous, and then the other player is going to know who the murderer is and what they picked. And then a series of questions are going to come up on cards that are revealed. So, like, was the, when time of the murder, things like that, right? Different things to sort of give you context to the murder, and you're going to try as the what is it? The forensic investigator. What's the role of the person who's giving the clues?
Yeah, aren't they the forensic investigator?
Yeah, I think so, or forensic scientist or whatever.
Murder in Hong Kong.
Yes. And so people the card is going to come up and it's going to say, X or Y, and you're going to pick one as the clue giver to then try to guide everyone into figuring out who the killer is. And in a way, this tells a story because I know when we play this game, and because of the kind of people we're like, well, Bob definitely did it. He did it at the playground, and he did it with the toy blocks because I saw him there doing it. It's like we always build up on the accusations. It's not just the cards. It is way getting into like all of the story and why that person specifically did it. And it's even worse when it's like, well, we were right about Bob, but for the wrong reasons. You know, so we don't win because we didn't accurately pick both clues correctly, even though we did get the person right. But this game, if you want it to, really gives you sort of that breadth of storytelling and with it. And then one really crazy story that happened one time is we were at a convention, and one guy who may or may not have been peeking when the killer picked his items, the guy literally sitting next to him goes, they did it. It's this and this. I gotta go poop. And he got up and left. And he was 100% correct.
With like zero information.
With zero information.
Pretty sus.
Just a Hail Mary.
It was kind of tough. I mean, it could have been a Hail Mary, but it also could have been a Bill Belichick was spying and got some information. Let's alienate more people. Who knows? But that was a crazy story, and it created a very tense situation immediately after because
it was very tense.
Yeah, they cheated. There's no way they could have known, and this and that. It's like, oh my gosh, what do we do?
Yeah, it's a game, y'all.
It's a game. We don't need to win that bad. Let's play for the experience.
Is this
What's the name of that company? Elio?
Shut up.
No, this version.
No, that's Gray Fox, right?
It's Gray Fox, but
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. Is this a reprint?
I don't know what CS Files is.
No idea either. Yeah, I don't know. Thought maybe it was a reprint or something like that.
I mean, yeah. Why is it with like it has Deception with Hong Kong down the pictures there? It's weird.
This is it is a game that non-social deduction enjoyers can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes find that the luck in these tiles, which ones you draw, can make or break your ability to give effective clues.
Now, Bob and I played this game enough where sometimes we're like, this sucks. Like, we're going to
pick a different one.
We're going to pick a different one.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. I mean,
because we would 100% rather have a more satisfying game experience than just the us versus them. Don't get me wrong, Bob loves to win, but we can all agree sometimes that this is not helping anybody. Like,
I think I figured out my issue with social deduction. To be like, so I had a revelation maybe a week or two ago.
It's Andrew Luck,
literally a week ago when we were gaslighting Mike. So,
okay.
I enjoy a little bit of bluffing, right? With this game, you're bluffing kind of, this and that. But like games like Blood on the Clock Tower, where you literally got to sit there and gaslight people for an hour, I don't dig it. I don't like doing that to my friends, and that's why I've told, like Dan and other people, like, we go to a convention and we want to play Werewolf or something. Like, I might check it out and try it again because a bunch of people I don't know. I don't care if I'm gaslighting them as much, but like I really just don't enjoy doing it to my friends, and I think that's why I don't like the social deduction games that are just pure social deduction.
No, and that's the thing though, and because I can attest to this with you, Bob, is you do enjoy like a good head fake. Like if we're playing like Game of Thrones or something. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
and I think it's also important to. And you've been very clear on like what you like and don't like, but it's also very important to know, right? Be self-aware. Hey, I don't dig this. Like I will play it.
Yeah.
But don't look at me and expect me to be like the whole time.
Yeah. Yep. So,
but you do like Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Because that's just like you're kind of bluffing. No, it's not this. It's got to be this over here.
Yeah,
it's not like you're sitting there making up a story out of whole cloth. Yes, thank you, Chris. Finally, we agree. And and like totally
stick around for
gaslighting somebody for like literally an hour.
Right.
Murder in Hong Kong is over in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that long if you stay on it and you keep people moving. Yep, agreed.
Okay, that was it.
Wait, did we highlight this one? Listen, I enjoy Munchkin in its place and at certain times.
Absolutely.
I will not die on the Munchkin Hill like, oh, we need to play this all the time. But with the right group and in the right vibe and setting, 100%.
Not gonna say I haven't had fun with it, but I'd rather play something else.
I own a couple different versions of Munchkin because just in case.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, what you got?
That was me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Jeff, what's your number 3?
Okay, I've got one from, I think it's Lucky Duck, maybe.
Okay.
Destinies is a great
dude. I got that written down.
Made my short list. Yeah.
It is a story-driven game. It's a great kind of husband and wife type of game you can play with your honey.
Yep.
You know, it kind of stinks sometimes when someone goes out first or whatever, but it's just I don't hate app-driven games, so I think this is a good example of a well-executed game that has app assist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good and it's simple. I love it that it's on the simple side.
Yep.
I don't know what BGG I don't know what Board Game Geek says it is on complexity, but it's got to be 2.5, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. 275. 192.
1.9.
Yeah. It is lighter.
That's light. So that's great. You know, accessibility is important in every game. Yeah.
Yeah, dig this game. I dig this game. I like it.
Man, I have never played this.
Man, these minis are mini though.
Yeah,
tiny.
No, I enjoyed the couple of missions that we played this, and I would like to play more of it. I've got mine sitting down here. I haven't taken it upstairs yet because I want to play it more. It's a weird player count 3, which is a little weird. But yeah, like those little QR codes, and you scan the apps, it tells you what you found and this and that, and like the clues. It reminds me a little bit of what's that one that Mike just did on the cases where you're taking a picture.
Yeah. Chronicles of Crime.
A little bit of that, but there's more to it. So you know, I enjoyed this, and like I said, it did make my short list, but I didn't quite make the cut on mine. But yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah, super fun. I've enjoyed this game. Again, it was an honorable. It was sort of one of my alternates that I could have swung in if I needed to.
I love how it's like 0% zoom and then it's 400% zoom.
Yeah, this Grim Reaper is sick.
That's got to be in the big box. So I don't have that.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody painted this one, but wow.
Right. Still.
Sharp.
Are these like the regular dice too?
I think so.
I like this design on the dice.
I can open my box.
Yeah, I don't know. I like app-driven games. I think it's really cool when cardboard can integrate with tech. I love it. I'm a tech guy.
I just worry about the day that it's not supported.
Yeah,
sure.
That'd be sad. Then you can't
There's
play the game
just been
anymore.
very few games where that's actually happened. That but yeah, this looks cool. This is one I should try.
Gollum Arcana.
Yeah, that's the one. The one. Oh, and Drop Mix. I don't think that's supported anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need the app for Drop Mix. No, the app still works for Drop Mix. I've got the app. I play Drop Mix. Play with my kids all the time.
I haven't played it in a while.
Yeah.
All right, good pick.
Yeah, cool
good
pick.
Now you got me paranoid.
Right. So this is my least story-driven game here because I had to squeak a Euro on the list. But you know what? This is a 13-year-old Euro. And this is when Euros didn't have a whole lot of theme. And this is before this guy got known for code names. And my number 3 is Dungeon Pets. And I love this game. This is like a classic worker placement game. And there's so many worker placement games that are just about scoring points. And yes, most points wins this game. But the games that I remember of playing Dungeon Pets have nothing to do with the points that were scored. A typical game of Dungeon Pets goes something like this. So, a little context. So, this was a follow-up to Vlada's first big worker placement game, which was Dungeon Lords. In Dungeon Lords, you are a lord of a dungeon and you're trying to create the most epic dungeon and you are luring, things into your dungeon. Well, now you're trying to get pets for your dungeon. And so what you're actually doing is trying to use these worker placement spots to get these weird, sort of creepy looking dungeon pets into their little sort of cages here. And all of the monsters have their own sort of unique needs. And what makes this game so thematic and why you can tell a story about it is I still have games that I played of this where one person took the monsters I wanted. I couldn't take any monsters. So what I did was I took all of the food that those monsters required. Those pets then got distressed and depressed. And those monsters then died because they had nothing to eat. And
this choice is terrible, Mike.
And that's fine. But I was using €1 on this list. And the stories that you develop when you play Dungeon Pets has to do. There we go. Now we're getting into the truth, at least.
You're a terrible person.
A modicum of truth is now leaked into the show, and I'm happy for it. But these little imps that you use that do all of your bidding, if you don't get the pet that you want, you go steal all the food that the pet's required, and then the other player's pet dies anyway. And
nice.
Just like my story about Dungeon Pets, it's going to die on this hill.
Oh, it is.
So
it's going to die on this hill.
Yeah. I was going to say, Mike, not only was that a terrible pick, but we're all now dumber for having heard your story.
It's not a Euro where you go, hey, remember that time I beat you and I scored like 150 points to yours like 120? This Euro worker placement game that's very old now ends up developing stories when you play it. And for an old worker placement game, I still enjoy it quite a bit. So
may God have mercy on your soul, Mike.
I still love this game.
It's so good. I love it. He's finishing the quote.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So 2.
Anytime we can do a little Billy Madison.
I haven't played it, so I don't know. No, it's not Billy Madison. It's
it is Billy Madison.
We're now
it's
all
the quiz at the end.
For having listened to this story. I get it.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
Correct.
That's right.
All right, there you go.
Come on, Mike.
What?
Work through. So Bob wants to talk about his number 2.
All right. Number 2, if you can see those.
Tiny fingers.
So technically my number 2 was Adventure Party, but Mike stole it.
Yeah.
So I will do my number 6 in its place. And that was a story that's a great story, at least what's been written of it.
Hi, Jazz.
And that is that is Game of Thrones. Tim kind of mentioned it a little bit there.
Yes.
It's a great story, but even playing through the game leads to so many great stories, so many hurt feelings. It's like you got to have the right group. You got to be able to leave it on the table, but like, man, that game has led to some great memories and some great stories.
Because Bob, right? Our motto when we play this game is it's not if I'm going to stab you in the back, it's when.
When. Yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Don't be mad. Just expect it.
It's the scorpion and the frog crossing the creek, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you knew this was gonna. What did you expect was gonna happen? I'm a scorpion.
That's right.
Oh, shoot. I would have said Agricola, but yeah, that's good.
The story is all this time, Chris.
That's all that story is. But no, the Game of Thrones board game is fantastic. You're playing all the great houses of Westeros, and you've got these hidden plan. You know, you're doing all your hidden orders, putting them face down, declaring what you're going to do before you actually reveal them all. And I love games that have that sort of mechanism in it. And this leads to so much. You flip a token over when you say, I swear I'm not attacking you there. And you flip over that raid token and that look of, you know, that somebody gives you. And you're like,
so
what? You abandoned that castle. I'm not going to take it over. You know, somebody's got to occupy it. And,
it's so good.
So good, though. Yeah.
I need to play this with you guys. I only played this once and I got my ass kicked at this.
Okay, so here's the thing, Mike.
2015.
Wow.
You want to play it with Bob and I will just say also prepare to get your ass kicked. But we will do it with a smile.
Same team, Mike. Same team.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like 2 rounds.
Yeah, I love this game for exactly the reasons that Bob's saying, right? These are stories you can, if you are familiar with the lore, right, and everything and all the books, you can bring that in. You bring that in with you, and that all carries through. But like Bob's saying, and this is one of the reasons why Bob and I have been friends for so long, is that we can play these kinds of games together with these. You know, there's so many daggers in my back from Bob from over the years from all the different games we
back off my dagger. Jeez.
Yeah. To his credit, all the daggers from Bob have only been from board games and not from real life experiences. But it's so good because I have placed an equal amount of daggers in Bob's pack.
Yeah.
But no, I love this game. I love the plot twists. And if you're playing with the right group of people, they're going to happen. And it's devastating and it's dynamic when it does. And I can't even be mad. It doesn't matter like how much it totally jacks. Like I was going to win next turn. I had this game and you screwed me and I was going to screw you the next turn.
That's right. I was waiting to screw you the next
turn. Cause that's the whole thing is it's not that I'm mad that you did this to me. I'm mad that you did it to me before I could do it to you.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's so good. I appreciate it. Bob, I love this on your list, dude. Yep. It's freaking epic.
Technically it was number 6, but since Mike stole my number 2, I'll throw that in there. So to talk.
You gotta play this again.
Yep.
Oh, it's so epic. And you gotta play it with dudes that are cool with just this is gonna happen.
Get bitter and they'll hold that grudge. And it's like,
what's up, Evan?
What's that?
Oh, Evan's on.
Evan,
he's gonna work on your arm. Oh, dude, yeah, those are great picks. Unless you ask Charwood, because he hates Tales of Arabian Nights and would rather play the campaign for North Africa.
If you like Tales of Arabian Nights, I don't know if you people have been talking about that. Have you tried Agents of Smersh?
What do you mean, you people?
You people.
Yeah.
You people that talked about Tales of Arabian Nights. That's what I mean by.
Oh, that's what you mean. Got it. There we go. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so my number 2 is, I mean, it's literally a story. And this is a game that I've taken when I have gone like out of town. If I like, cause I've gone out of town by myself for like trainings and something that I can like pack easily and just kind of dig into and really enjoy. But I'm going to use this one specifically because of the theme, but Mythos Tales, right? So this is kind of like Sherlock Holmes consulting detective, but it takes place in Arkham. There is an updated version of it, and I can't remember the name. I've got it over here somewhere.
Arkham Investigator?
Thank you. So, yeah.
Good call, Mike.
Yep. But the Mythos Tales is so cool and really fun, and you have a story, and you're laid out with like this mystery, and you got maps and newspaper articles that you can consult, and you're trying to then utilize your time, optimally, as you're going to go around and maybe question different people and ask questions, like I'm going to go talk to this person. So you're going to turn to this page in the book and they're going to give you some information. And then at the end, you're going to have to sort of make your case, right? I think that this is why this happened. And, this is who's responsible or was involved. And you can just kind of keep going with that. It's it's very cool. I love the vibe, the feel.
Very, Sherlock Holmes-ish.
It is 100% Sherlock Holmes consulting detective with the mythos theme.
Slapped on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wouldn't say slapped on there.
It's in there.
That's derogatory. Sure. But it is built on that framework.
It's worked its tentacles into it.
That's right. That's a really good way to put it. It has incepted it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really solid version. I have both. I have actually all three versions, right? I've got the Arkham one, I've got Mythos Tales, and I have Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. At least the first box. There's more to it because there's like the Bakersfield or Baker Street Irregulars is an expansion or another box for the Sherlock Holmes ones. But anyways, I enjoy sort of that dark horror theme, that vibe, that underlying, it's almost like a David Lynch, right? Like where there's the suburbia, but then like right underneath that nice shiny veneer,
facade.
there's all of this weird dark stuff lurking. And I know Jeff can appreciate that already from just some of the stuff we talked about.
Yes, absolutely.
But I just enjoy that vibe and that feel. And this is a game that I wouldn't do it with like a ton of people. I would do it with maybe 2 or 3 max. But I've enjoyed doing stuff on my own, right? I'm sitting in a hotel room, I crack open a beer and I just start reading and looking through stuff and doing my best to sort of solve it and work through it. I think it's very cool and it provides a fun experience.
Very cool. I like the art too, and that on the cards and stuff. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a cool version for sure.
My turn.
Yep.
Go for it, Jeff.
Okay. I might get dinged for this one, but
impossible.
Yeah, it's not worse than Mike's.
This was an escape for me theme wise from
Stone Age.
What I'm used to. You nailed it. Stone Age. No, this was an escape from what I'm used to, because I'm a big fantasy guy and I like dark themes and stuff. But ISS Vanguard. I think it's
right on.
It takes a lot of. It's got a little bit of a learning curve to it, and there's a lot of things to manage. But the story, and I know there's a plot point that happens in the story that turned a lot of people off.
Oh.
But it's very good storytelling.
Okay.
I see a theme here with, I'm not going to ding you. I haven't played it, but this was because I follow Awaken Realms.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely have a thing that they go for, right?
Yeah. I've got all the ISS Vanguard stuff sitting here. My buddies that have played through like Descent, my Magic buddies, we played through a lot of these games already. They really want to get into it, but apparently there's like a 4-hour tutorial you're supposed to sit through to learn how to play and watch. And I haven't had the time or opportunity or the will to do that.
It's on the heavy side.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the story and the gameplay is worth it because you take ownership of a game like this in a more intellectual way. You feel, I don't know, you feel just accomplished. You feel smart when you play it. When you don't screw up 14 times in a row, because you are going to screw up and you are going to lose crew and things are going to go wrong, and that's okay. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really, really good storytelling and an amazing world, and you start caring about your people, and I don't know, just very, very good stuff for me.
That would remind me of like I played XCOM on the video game a lot. And like you get attached to certain characters, and they start leveling up. They, badass. He runs in there, he blasts dudes, and all of a sudden he gets axed in a mission. You're like, no.
When did I save last? Is it worth restarting this mission? Yeah.
Are you guys computer gamers from way back?
Console, but yes.
Off and on.
Do any of you remember a game called Syndicate?
Oh yeah.
And you used to inject your agents with drugs to make them go faster and to do more. But if you did it too much, they would have like bad side effects. But I don't know. Anyway, I just thought of XCOM and it made me think of Syndicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to check out this ISS Vanguard. Like I said, I literally have like base game, 2 boxes of expansions, plus I have the box with like little like crazy looking boxes that hold all the cards in it and stuff. I got all that cool shit. Like it looks
Chris
badass.
says Syndicate was the best, so I got Chris's vote of approval.
You finally won him over.
Yeah,
it only took 2 hours.
Murder hobos.
They were definitely murder hobos.
Yeah. I'll have to pick a weekend. I mean, I just got so much stuff going on, but pick a Saturday when everything going on. Sit down for the 3 to 4 hours and play through the tutorial and figure everything out. Because, like I said, it looks super cool. Like I've opened up the base box, punched it, sorted it. Then I started reading how one person should play through this tutorial before you get started. I'm like, oh, that's daunting.
I'm going to go on a limb though, Bob, and say that it's not going to take you that long
to get through it.
Just based on your game knowledge and experience. I
would agree with that.
Okay. I mean, you're going to put some time into it, but I bet you're going to pick that game up relatively quickly.
Okay. Because it would be cool to get through and play some of that.
Just be prepared. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
Something gut wrenching happens in the story, and you just have to press through it.
Okay.
I respect big swings. I love it. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Game of Thrones, right? I mean, there's big swings in that story. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. You're like, everything is probably going to be okay unless this character dies. And if that happens, the whole world's going to, oh no, what just happened? Like that character just died. You're like, what? Oh my God, this is terrible.
This character. And now we have this character. Oh no, he's dead too. Yeah.
What is happening? But it's also consequential. As long as it makes sense and it provides a great story, who cares? I think that, sometimes people just have to get used to either, maybe not always, maybe it doesn't have to be that the good guys always win, but sometimes maybe your favorite characters,
right.
My favorite character in Game of Thrones was Hot Pie. So he was around through the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Hot Pie made it.
Yeah.
I liked Oberon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that went well. Hey, I love Ned Stark. He's one of my favorite characters.
How long did he last? 15 minutes?
Yeah, that went real well for me.
Yeah.
And then, yes, to punish everyone, they have to play Dungeon Pets.
All right, Mike, what's your number 2?
What's your next Vlada Chavato game you're going to throw out? And
Pictomania.
All right, my number 2 is Codenames.
Yeah, right. Don't worry, Evan. Everything ends up really great for Ned.
Fine. Yeah.
It's Eddard Stark you got to worry about.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoy social deduction games.
Boy, I don't.
I am honest to a fault sometimes, and I love that within the construct of a game, I can lie through my teeth, and that's encouraged. And when I pull that off successfully, it's just really satisfying. But also, some of those games just end up with stories to tell when you're done. And I finally got to play this for the first time this year, and I ended up with a story, and that is The Thing Infection at Outpost 31.
Love this game.
Not only is this game based off an amazing movie that I finally got to watch last year that I enjoyed so much, and I am not a movie watcher. I watched this movie 3 times last year, and I don't do good. Like just talking about it, I want to go watch it again.
It's one of my all-time favorites.
But I played this at Tim's sister and brother-in-law's house with Bob, with Patrick, with Karen Ola, and we played this. And it was really like everything that I thought it would be from a storytelling perspective. Like,
nice.
So, I mean, basically the whole premise is like somebody's going to draw like something from an event deck. And it's going to say, all right, you got to accomplish you got to accomplish something here, but you got to be able to get like 3 positives, but you have to bring 2 people that have the yellow trait on their card. So you're looking around, all right, how many yellow characters are actually in the game, and who am I willing to trust that will play a good card, because they're going to contribute these cards into like a hand. You're going to shuffle them and reveal them. So if somebody sabotages the mission, you're not actually going to know who did it. You're going to have to guess, of the 4 people that were involved in that mission, which one of those 4 sabotaged that mission. Very early in this game, we started accusing our friend Karen, and we were right. Karen was the imitation the whole time, but just like in the movie, the imitation spreads. It's not just one person. Yep. Eventually, it's going to be 2 people, then it's going to be 3 people, and then as the game goes on, you have no idea who the imitations are anymore. And I think what made this so epic is that Patrick, being a good teacher, because he was teaching the game, he was quarterbacking the game. And I don't mean that in like the slang term of somebody who's like telling everybody what to do in a co-op game. He was appropriately coaching people through what the correct and incorrect.
He does a good job of like keeping it moving, right?
Coaching, we'll call it, not playing quarterbacking. He was correctly coaching the group, except that he was the last person that became an imitation, and nobody caught on to it because he was correctly coaching the game. I had my theories when him and Karen went into the kitchen and had a little conversation. I'm like, why is he talking to her secretly? There is no reason for him to be talking to her secretly unless he became the imitation. And sure enough, he did. And damn it if he didn't get on that helicopter and escape, and the imitations won. I will always have that story in my head about this game. And that's my only experience playing it. And I just feel like every time I play this game, I will end up with a story to tell. And because of that, I can't wait to play this game again.
I believe Patrick, when we played this game, when I played it with him, called me a lying little shit when we played it. And I was telling the truth. And our friend Tyler was the imitation, and he took Tyler on the helicopter instead of me to then, and he was a human to then lose the game. And I don't know if I was really torn between upset that I couldn't help win the game, or if I felt satisfied.
In your face, I told you
that he didn't believe me and then lost the game for everybody because he left me behind and specifically took a.
Yep. This game can be really fun, but it can be really hard to win as the imitation unless you get turned toward the end and then you get taken on the helicopter because you played as human the whole time because you were. I really feel like this game would benefit from something like the Chaos deck, like is an Unfathomable.
Yeah. That's the fix.
Adds that bit of like, what? That card could have come from anywhere,
That's the fix. That is the fix to the game.
It does have its flaws. I mean, as the imitation spreads later in the game, you have less information to use to guess who has become an imitation. But I'm able to look past the flaws and just kind of enjoy what this game.
100%, Mike. You're not going to get
stories.
You're not going to get any argument from me. This game will always be in my collection. It's one of my favorite movies. It does a really good job of conveying that experience. Yep. I mean,
Mike,
what do you want?
Your list, but you're doing pretty okay so far, other than the one
Dungeon Pets.
Yes.
It was really just, setting you up for the Dungeon Pets pick is all it was. You won't like my number 1 though, so that's fine.
I'm excited.
All right, so let's get to it. Without further ado, number 1.
Yeah, there it is.
Get your binoculars.
Okay. Yeah. Right, so my number 1 is IMO, one of the best stories ever told. And this game does a fantastic job of allowing you to play through this story and to twist it the way you want to twist it. But Star Wars Rebellion,
yes,
fantastic. If you love Star Wars, like especially the OG trilogy and even Rogue One, because that expansion is great. It fixes the combat, which is a lot of the big sticking points for a lot of people. It's fantastic. You can send Luke to Dagobah to get trained into a Jedi. You can capture somebody and freeze them in carbonite. You can try to turn somebody to the dark side and bring them to your team. You can create a Death Star and blow up whichever planet you want. It doesn't have to be Alderaan. You can blow up any planet you want. And just the stories that evolve and come out of this game are fantastic. Like it's one of my favorite 2-player games, if not my. It really depends on how much time I have when I'm talking 2-player games and favorite games. But yeah, just Star Wars Rebellion is fantastic. Mike's not here to pull up the pictures, but even the minis are badass. Like the ships looks cool. Tim and I during COVID managed to play this via Zoom, where I just had the as the Rebel player, I controlled the probe deck for him, and then I would show him what cards he got, and I was able to keep my cards secret for me as the Rebels. Other than that, everything basically played the same, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's so good.
Bob, would you say that Rebellion is the best Star Wars game made?
Yes.
Yep. Hands down. If you want the Star Wars feel, it is the best Star Wars game. Now, I played The Mandalorian. It's fine.
Have you done
Outer Rim? It's fine.
Outer Rim,
Star Wars Rebellion. If you want to feel that Star Wars story, Rebellion does it in spades.
I need to buy it. Yeah. I don't have it.
Jeff, it's really good, dude.
I want to get the Rogue One expansion because the combat in the OG version, it's not great. But the Rogue One expansion does a lot for fixing the combat, and then it gives you another deck of cards, and you get to choose which mission cards that you want to play with when you go to start the game up, and so it adds a little bit of variance to it because you can use either stack, honestly. But yeah, it's so good. It's so
God,
good.
I love this game.
Yeah. I think it's a lot like the Game of Thrones thing too. I mean, I feel like when you have all this canon, all this story that's out there from these big franchises, and you make a game, as long as the mechanics aren't deeply flawed, it creates such a powerful mental image when you can literally play House Stark or take control of a Jedi, or I mean, it's so amazing. That's why I think a lot of companies seek those. Obviously, it's money too, but they seek those big franchises because there's so much canon. There's so much story.
There's so much story that you can use.
If you can capture like some sort of essence from that,
just
IP. You don't even need it to like be like perfect representation. Nope. You just got to get the vibe right and the feeling. And if you can, I mean, it's the same thing with Mike's pick with The Thing, right? There's some things that could be fixed in that game, but I don't care. I always have fun playing it. But again, it gives you that sort of immersion factor, and Rebellion has that in spades. I mean, it's so freaking good.
Have any of you guys played? Have you any of you guys played Journeys in Middle Earth?
A little bit, yes, a little bit.
That's one that does a decent job of grabbing a little bit of the essence of Lord of the Rings and.
Yeah, I know people that have played it and they do really enjoy it. If you love Lord of the Rings, I'm sure it's fun. And I do love Lord of the Rings. I haven't had the chance to play it. So.
Yeah. Great pick, Bob. This was an honorable mention for me. I almost put it on the list. It really makes you feel like you're part of the story.
Yep. Yeah. I turned Leia to the dark side and she became one of my characters. I was able to use. That's fantastic.
Yeah. You did that for your own selfish reasons.
I did. Well, it's just so thematic too, though. It's like, the rebels are going around planet to planet trying to raise sympathy, for themselves, and while in the meantime trying to sabotage things for the Empire. The Empire, you can like leave stormtroopers on planets and subjugate them and steal their resources, and you're just trying to find that rebel planet so you can just destroy those people. And the way that you can put dudes on the rebel base, which is its own separate spot, and then you have a card that you tuck underneath the board that tells you what planet that's on. So when they get to that planet, you can reveal that card and be like, all these dudes are there, battle commences, or you try to instead flee, search for their base, take the probe deck, draw a bunch of cards, choose a planet that you go to, put the rest back in the deck, and then you hide your planets again. So So helmet is so big. Yes,
I bet she gives a great helmet.
Love money and power, and I have both. So.
All right. So my number one, I know that Mike and Bob have not played. I'm going to go with a little Cult of the New here. But this was a game that I just played, and it really, really impressed me. And I had a great time with it, so much that I went and purchased the video game that it was based on.
Really?
I did. And I started playing it this week. But so my number one is going to be Monster Hunter World. So in this game by Steamforged Games, what you're doing is you're going to play as one of these monster hunters, right? And you are part of the commission, and they are trying to basically understand sort of the behaviors of these monsters in this new world kind of thing. So a very cool thing, and I hadn't played the video game before I played the board game. So in the board game, what you're doing is you're going to pick what monster you're going to try to hunt. Now, obviously, they recommend, a lower level, like, hey, these are the ones you should start with. And that makes sense, because what's going to happen is you can play through the course of a campaign. You're going to have X amount of days, 25, to do different missions to then allow you to play through this whole box, this whole book of different campaigns. But the very cool thing that you do is, so I'm hunting a giant Vagras or whatever it's called, right? Jagra, something, I don't remember. But I'm hunting this thing. And so what I expected was that I'm going to put this player board down, and I'm going to put my minis down. There's the monster. Here's its stats. Let's go. I'm going to kill this thing. Wrong. What happens is you pick your hunter, and that's who you're going to be. And they've got a deck of cards. They've got a damage card deck that you build based on the weapon you have equipped. And then they've got like different armor, right? So.
Oh, buffer, Tim.
Uh-oh.
Go feed the hamster. 404, Timbot not found.
Oh, no.
It's a bad one.
Oh,
are we going to lose him?
No.
Is he going to drop?
Oh,
what's the over-under?
Can you hear me? I'm back.
He's
right?
back. He's back.
Okay. So you
have damage decks.
Yeah, so you got like a damage deck that you build based on the item you have equipped. Each character has their own unique stamina deck. And then you basically say, I'm hunting this monster, and it's going to say, okay, open the book and go to point 1. And then you read that paragraph, and it's going to give you a branching path. Maybe, I see tracks that go towards the river, and I see something that might be in this cave. Where do you want to go? So if you go through the river, go to 24. If you go check out the cave, read section 13. So then you go to the one you're reading. And so you're going to do this branching path, this or that thing, which is going to give you different items and resources. Maybe you take damage, maybe you heal damage, and all these different things as you build up. And then when you finally get to the monster, now that what you just did is going to affect also not only your stats, but maybe the monster's stats. Then you fight the monster, and depending on how well you did against the monster is then going to determine the rewards you get and the different sort of resources you gather from that monster. Then you're going to take those resources and look at this flow chart of weapons and armor that you can craft and check off things like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And you can spend campaign days basically going to like shops and trying to gather and acquire some of the items you don't have, but that's working against your campaign timer. And so you're crafting your own weapons and your own armor, and you can build different things, and there's prereqs. There's a lot of depth to this game. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I love it. And I was like, well, I know this is based on a video game. So I immediately, like after playing it a couple times, went and found the video game, and it was super cheap. I think I spent $15 on it. and then started playing the video game a little bit to just kind of dig into that. And it's like, holy shit, this is a really fun story and a really cool experience. And I was doing it solo, running 2 characters. I cannot wait to play this with the other guys and kind of get sort of their opinions on like some of that branching path stuff, and to sort of get the dynamic, because you've got this, your player board, and you're playing these cards down on your player boards. And depending on what the monster action is, tells you how many cards you can play on your player board, which are going to give you sort of maneuvers, like where you can move in, maybe the damage you do is going to give a status effect, and stuff like that. And then the monster's got its own deck where you're revealing cards, and then they might do status effects, and you can dodge, and you can defend. It's very cool. It's super fun. It's a grind. I can see where it can be a grind, but it's so fulfilling with getting all of those things that you can then build up better weapons with, that it doesn't feel like a grind, because I'm like, I just got new stuff. I can't wait. I'm going to run out and I want to use it. Like, I want to whack on that next monster as hard as I can with the new weapons. It's not like
the choose your own adventure from back in the day where you go to look, you don't like what it is, but you didn't take a figure out. You didn't take a figure out, so you didn't actually choose that one. So you can go back and choose a different path, right?
It's not that bad.
The video game is a grind. You can't just grab a weapon and run after the first monster. You gotta
power up,
grind some XP on some lower level critters, and then once you have your skills up, then go attack that monster. So it sounds true to the game.
Yeah, I mean, as an old school like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior, Nintendo gamer, like that does not bother me.
Yep.
But again, it felt rewarding, I guess. So a grind doesn't feel like a grind, right? Work doesn't feel like work if you're having fun or you've got a good perspective on it.
Exactly.
A grind doesn't have to feel like a grind. This game does not feel like a grind. And yeah, Chris, I understand what you're saying. I didn't play this video game before I played the board game, and I really enjoyed the hell out of the board game. And I've been enjoying the video game so far. So
on that note, over this past weekend, we had multiple people talk about how good Slay the Spire was. So,
oh, dude, I cannot wait to play Slay the Spire. I freaking love that video game.
Year of the board game, video game adaptation, and I think there's a lot of good ones that have recently come to market.
Yeah,
sure.
I would argue that this is one of the better ones. I have this one. I have Primal, but I would say that this game definitely is more than a boss battler. It's more than a boss battler. It's got a lot of cool other little mini games or mini things that happen to support what you're doing. I would say one that's similar to this, that's a little less grindy and a little more story forward, is going to be Oathsworn. Oathsworn it's a great boss battler, but it's got amazing story. It's got the city mode, and it's if you sprung for the big box or whatever, you get the foreteller narration. You get to hear James Cosmo, the guy that played Lord Commander Mormont in Game of Thrones, read the entire story. Nice. And I can tell you, it grabs you by the nuts and takes you for a ride.
I can dig that, man.
Cool.
Yeah, foreteller's cool.
Yeah, and I think Tim, for you especially, I think you finish this one and you knock it out. I think it's time to go on to Oathsworn if you haven't played it.
Dude, I'm making a note right now.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Jamie's a friend of mine, and he taught me everything I know about setting up a booth, how to dress, how to behave, how to staff it, and he's way smarter than I'll ever be. But Oathsworn and this one they're different, but they have some common DNA. So
sure. Sweet. Yeah, I just had a really good time with this. You nailed it when you said it's more than a boss battler. I came into this game just expecting it to be that. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not. It really surprised me in a really nice way. And I think that really colored my opinion of it. You know what I mean? And affected how I felt about it, because I was so pleasantly surprised with what it.
Well, heck, you went and spent more money to get the computer game. So obviously you liked it.
Yeah, they did their job, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
very cool.
But all right, what's your number one?
My number one is the updated version. I'm going to qualify it, is the updated 1.5 version of Tainted Grail.
This is an honorable mention. Now I haven't played the 1.5. I've only got the OG.
Same.
There was problems. There was problems before. They listened, they adjusted, they updated, they fixed, and the storytelling was always great.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is almost something that I think transcends gaming. This product transcends gaming. It's a life-altering experience. It's so European. It's so based on this kind of dystopian version of King Arthur and that time period and stuff. I think it's a must play for anybody that loves story.
This, I backed everything for it on the first Kickstarter because of my love of Arthurian legend and all of that. And what a crazy, amazing take on that. I mean, just super cool and very dark. It's a tough game.
Oh, hard.
It's brutal. It's brutal. Hey, sushi. No bar.
Hey, Mike, you don't have the only sushi that likes to be part of the show.
But what it is I have Sushi's kind of the dominant dog, and Rooster's real passive. But every once in a while, when he wants to play, he starts barking to let his brother know it's time to play.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, I can't wait to hear Mike's.
I've heard nothing but great things about Tainted Grail.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of that stuff. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It in its own way, it's as hard as Dawn of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
It's as gloomy and heavy in some ways. So, but yeah, brilliant storytelling.
I remember it had some really good descriptive passages and little story bits.
Whoa.
They did a really good
look at that stuff, Mike.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I mean, obviously somebody painted these up, but it looks better from afar. There we go. Those are insane.
I mean, all you'd have to do on those minis, they're so complex, is just put an ink wash on them, and they would just be perfect.
Make it pop. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with my menhirs, however you say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of words I can't pronounce in that game.
Yep.
That's insane.
But no, the vibe and everything is worth it.
I love that dark Arthurian. Yeah,
I wish they would listen and talk to other people about Great Wall and fix that game.
Wouldn't that be great?
Nothing wrong with that character. It's completely balanced. On a side note, we changed that character in the next update.
Oh my god, that game should be so good. I want to love Great Wall so much, and I just can't. I just struggle with that
too.
Maybe
it's pretty okay at 2.
All right, Mike.
All right, let me build up to my 1 real quick.
Oh boy.
Oh, you dirty dog! You can't say this because you haven't played it yet.
No, it's not my number 1. I'm just doing this because I can.
He's rubbing it in.
Because this was my most anticipated game of 2024.
Okay.
And it just showed up. Oh, I forgot it came with a playmat. Oh my god.
I got a box today too.
I've got this in here. I've got Call of Cthulhu season 4 in the mail, but it's not here yet.
Nice.
All right, there's a little promo.
That's Tim over there crackling and unpackaging something. It sounds like Tim.
It looks like he's got something too.
There we go.
I got a game today too. I'm gonna beat Mike to it because he's taking too long.
Nice.
Yeah. You're
$16 on Amazon.
What a great steal!
$14 Amazon purchase. I finally got Unconscious Mind.
All in. Look at that beautiful box.
Gorgeous. It's all foil.
Box. Yeah, it looks like it is a foil box, isn't it? My God, this box is gorgeous. Andrew Bosley and Vincent Dutray art. This is a worker placement game with a psychology theme based on the mind of Sigmund Freud. That was actually my first major in college was psychology. So that theme alone just drew me in. I am so intrigued by this game.
I just want to know about your mother. What?
Have you played it yet?
What? Monumental?
Yeah.
No, for $16, I'd take a flyer on it though.
Yeah, dude. Like, so, you know, you're gonna have like it's like deck building, right? And you're gonna have this 3x3 grid of cards.
You know what? I have played it with you. You taught me this game.
Yeah, you activate a row and a column, and then
that was badass at 2.
Yeah, it's really good at 2. It's just when you get the higher player counts, it can take a long time between turns. So
yep.
Well, yeah, I think it's a sweet mechanic though.
Even happier with my purchase then.
All right, so
Doggo.
Can we do?
Bob is gonna hate this pick. Tim will understand this pick. I love social deduction, and there is no social deduction game. Bob gets up. I know I thought some other people.
Hi, Chris.
Thanks for joining, Chris.
Hi, Nikki.
I really thought I know there's a ton of hype on this game. It's like third on the hotness. It showed up, and I'm like, I'm gonna go grab that box off the front porch while I'm grabbing sushi, not expecting a holographic box cover. So, there is no social deduction game that does storytelling as well as Blood on the Clock Tower.
Yeah.
Because you need a storyteller to play this game. And I will tell you, I've never been a big fan of games that require a DM, GM, or storyteller until I played Blood on the Clock Tower. And being the storyteller is just as much, if not more fun than actually playing the game. Because it takes all of the best roles of every social deduction game I've played. Like take basic werewolf. One person's a seer and they know what someone else is, and one other person can confuse other people. But the storyteller gives those roles out, and then while everybody is asleep and they're getting their roles, they wake up and then they go into these separate conversations. So you need a lot of space for this. This game can actually support 21. I've played it with 21. It was nuts. It was awesome. And so all these different stories are being told by people as they're trying not to get figured out. Was the storyteller, you need to walk around and hear all these sidebar conversations because you're encouraged to keep the game close. You don't want it to be a walk away victory for the villagers. You don't want the bad people to run away with this game. You want to keep it close. So you need to be informed on what stories are being told during the day phase. So you walk around, you hear all of these stories being told, and you go, okay, who goofed up? Who do I need to try and help during the night phase? And you've got mechanics like being drunk, where one person thinks they're one role when they're actually something else that you can use as a storyteller to kind of swing the tides of battle. Blood on the Clock Tower really is a truly amazing social deduction game. And yeah, it really is kind of like glorified werewolf.
Oh.
It's more than werewolf though. This is a game you experience. I mean, it's
all storyteller. If you have a shit storyteller, you're gonna have a shit game. If you have a good storyteller, you might have an okay game if you enjoy gaslighting your friends. But you're sitting there, that's all you're doing. You're literally sitting there just bullshitting to your friend. It's not just a bluff. You have to sit there and make up lies out of whole cloth. And
so who would be that person in your group then? If the four of us were playing, which one of us would be the storyteller? Would it be Mike or Bob or who?
Yeah, I'm
probably
the one
person with the most experience that knows the game the best. Because like Mike said, that's how you keep the story. That's how you keep the game balanced. That storyteller is so important. And they do have to walk around and listen to all the conversations that are being held to try to make sure that the right side's getting the right amount of information and not too much information is getting disseminated to somebody else. And it's just, I don't know. I've played it like 3 or 4 times. I just haven't had fun.
What's really fun is here's the thing, Bob. I'm going to expose your lies in your
doesn't like social deduction games.
I'm gonna expose Bob as a hypocrite really quick.
Okay.
So Bob's saying, I don't like to gaslight my friends.
Yes.
I think that that's a terrible idea, and we should never do that.
Correct.
Okay, Bob. Out of the friends, especially now in town still, who is more likely to run a D&D campaign outside of you and me? It's either you or me, right?
Yeah.
If you're not running a role-playing game campaign and you're not gaslighting your buddies to manipulate them to get them to do what you need them to do.
Manipulating is different than gaslighting. While gaslighting might be a form of manipulation, and I might be, it's different.
Totally different animal, right, Bob?
There's more game there than just gaslighting the game.
What I didn't hear was a denial.
Oh wait, Winston needs to go out. I gotta.
So, Chris, I actually really enjoy Werewolf. It was like the first social deduction game I was introduced to, and I really enjoyed it. Now, I've also only played one night Ultimate Werewolf. It's 10 minutes max. It's not you die, you're out, you don't get to play anymore, and the game still goes on for like an hour. I was hoping to play it because I got 14 plays, and it's been since July of last year. I haven't played it in a while. And I've story told this several times, and I enjoy both. I like playing it and being the storyteller. So if we needed one, I was willing to do it to make a game happen.
And Mike, you have a homebrew version,
sorry, Chris.
right?
Yeah, what I did was so there's like 3 different sets to this game that the first one is kind of like very basic roles that you've seen that are similar to Werewolf. And then the second and third set get increasingly more difficult with more things going on and a little bit more chaos being ensued. Before this game actually came out to retail, I made a print and play of just the first set. The first set is 25 rolls. There's 3 of them. So there's 75 rolls, but you're only playing with 25 at a time. And so what happens is when you're playing, everybody gets a sheet of the 25 rolls, so you know what the available options are, and you're walking around with that character sheet. I just have had a lot of fun playing it. At one point, I considered it my favorite game. I probably don't anymore, but it is still one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I think it's super fun. I enjoy it, but I also don't mind gaslighting my friends, I guess, because I'm a monster.
We know.
Yeah, there's a lot more information because you go into these sidebar conversations, and it's like you're careful. Like if you're one of the villagers and you have a really important role, you don't want to just divulge that to the first person you have a sidebar conversation with, because if they happen to be one of the evil characters, they're going to want to kill you off. They're going to want your ability out of the game. So there's an incentive to not just say exactly what you are. There's an incentive to being secretive about being good. And of course, there's always an incentive to pretending to be a villager role when you're actually one of the evil characters.
I feel like you have
and I think this game balances that very well.
Well, the game doesn't balance it, the storyteller balances it. But I feel like, you have to have some sort of streak of sociopath in you to really enjoy playing this. Just saying.
I mean, I guess.
Oh boy,
that's my take.
Here's Bob attacking us.
Here's my Sigmund Freud version. Here's my unconscious mind. So, Mike, tell me about the dreams you had last night, and then I'll tell you.
Here's Bob gaslighting me for enjoying Blood on the Clock Tower.
I said small streak. Doesn't say your Dexter level.
What's intriguing to me is that you can take a game like this and make it fun for the DM role, the GM role, which can be no fun. It can be cumbersome. It can be frustrating, but it sounds like it takes that role and really makes it something special. And that's quite a task, right?
It kind of gives them a meta game, right? Because they're trying to balance it out as best they can. And yes, it is quite a task, but it is definitely the thing that sets Blood on the Clock Tower apart from just One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah. If this thing played in 30, 45 minutes, I'd probably be more interested, but I literally don't want to sit here for 2 hours and do the same.
Smaller player counts shorten it, but this is like your grimoire, and this is you knowing what every character is, and you place these roles down based on where they're sitting, so you know what everyone is. And being the storyteller is so fun because you can just walk around and you know everything that's going on. And the best part of this game is when it ends and you get to recap what actually happened. Well, so-and-so thought that he was this character, but I actually made him drunk and he was this character. And then this person told so-and-so that they were the monk, but they weren't. They were the imp, and that's why they killed them the first night. That recap of this is the story that I thoroughly enjoy.
And while you were telling that story, Bob's eyes glazed over and he started thinking about things he needs to do at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
At least he didn't.
You know, Mike, I was really complimentary of your list until you got to this one.
Well, I called it, so.
I mean, it's no Dungeon Pets, but it'll do.
No, no Dungeon Pets.
I love it. I love it.
Any more honorable mentions?
Oh, there's a few like Mice and Mystics. I really enjoy. That's a really cool, very story intensive, right? Game. I think that one's fantastic. I left off. I'm sorry.
Madara. What about Madara?
I have not played Madara. It looks amazing.
Story's good. I'm not a big fan of the kind of manga art and the minis, but the story's strong.
Hey, right on. Yeah. They have a really cool convention presence. Like, I'm always looking at that stuff really hard. Like, can I afford that? Can I make it work? Do I need that? One of the ones I thought might get mentioned that didn't, but I absolutely love this game, and especially because of the story, is My Father's Work.
I was going to mention that one.
That was my honorable.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be on a list.
My Father's Work is good.
I didn't want to step on Bob's list because I thought it might be there. And if Bob didn't have that, I thought he might have had Abomination, Heir to Frankenstein. Also a fantastic game with like a super awesome story.
Very thematic.
And
that looks super cool. I haven't had a chance to try.
Yeah, we might have to take you up on that, man. That would be a fun opportunity. I enjoyed Vagrant Song. I think that's got a really cool story, cool vibe, cool theme. And I think those are my honorable mentions. I had Adventure Party also as one that I would have talked about and nobody gotten to, because I mean, that's storytelling 101. Mike, Dubious. It's a crime that I didn't even think of that for my list, because that 1,000,000% would have been on my list had I thought of it. I mean, the beauty of that game is the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The only one I would mention, and it's from somebody who usually does not have good writing, but I will say that Teneris Adventures, which is the later iteration of, I think it was called Teneris. I don't know. It's an RPG adjacent game, but the plot is interesting. And even though the writers aren't necessarily English first writers, the plot the plot is good enough that it makes up for some of the shortcomings of that.
There you go. Right on. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. So very
Teneris
cool.
Adventures.
Very cool. Bob or Mike, you got any other honorable mentions?
Well, I had Destinies on my list also.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. I mean, obviously, I said Game of Thrones. I replaced that with the one that Mike stole. And then
I had Dungeon Pets.
What's that?
I had Dungeon Pets, and I replaced it.
Yeah.
What's Mike said?
Yeah, that was my number one, but Mike ruined it.
Dungeon Lords.
No, I had Descent on there also. I played through that a couple of times. It's got a good story that you play through after, and like the building the big crazy maps is always nice.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's time consuming.
It is time. It was 115 hours I think we put into that campaign. Yeah, so it was definitely some time spent on that.
That's like Vrahode Light.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That was a good list of games, man. I'm definitely picking up Game of Thrones for sure.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And I'm picking up Star Wars Rebellion.
Star Wars Rebellion's great because it plays 2 players. It says it plays up to 4. Don't play 4 players because it just ends up splitting the ground and space combat into 2 separate things. Just play, 2-player. But yeah, Game of Thrones is a little bit more difficult player count because it's 3 to 5, but still fun.
I've had great experiences at all player counts, though, on Game of Thrones. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
And I know that Everdale, Dwellings of Everdale and Andromeda's Edge were not part of our discussion tonight. Mm-hmm. Those are 4X games, I'm assuming, right? They're 4Xs?
Yes.
So give me the 10-second pitch on why I have to have Andromeda's Edge.
I wouldn't call them 4X. So really what they are is worker placement tableau builders with a combat mechanic. Because of that, there's a ton of player interaction. So it's like you really can only do 2 things on your turn. You can deploy a worker. If there's somebody else's worker there, you're going to get the benefit of the tile, but then you do battle. If you're still the last worker that wins the battle, later you can build a city there, and that's going to give you points and additional benefits for more battles. The other option on your turn is if you don't have any workers or ships, you pull them back, and when you do that, you get to activate your tableau. And there's a really satisfying engine building from just pulling your workers back and activating these tableau cards that you have. And so it's kind of like 2 different games almost. It's like worker placement where I'm attacking people and also building a tableau that I get to activate when I pull my workers back. Just a lot of player interaction as opposed to most worker placement games.
Right. You're kind of on your own.
Yeah, you really have to. You still get the benefit of the tile, like you still get to use it, but you're gonna have to battle to stay in that spot if you want.
Yeah.
I think that's clever.
Very cool.
There's also a ton of variable player powers. A lot. And there's strategies to be built around every different player power. Dwellings of Eldervale alone had 16 variable player powers to pick from.
Wow.
And they're all
maybe they'll since Andromeda's Edge is an improvement on that, maybe they'll come out with a 2.0 or an update to it and use some of those updates, to improve that one too.
Yeah, they could.
That is possible. I know Luke Laurie, the designer, has added a ton of different quick modules that he's added to BG&G and whatnot. Real quick, I'll add a couple of honorable mentions to games that tell a great story. One is Dark Moon. It's another social deduction game, but it's actually more semi-co-op. And when you're done, you're always going to get a story to tell about that time you quarantined that certain person right before they had the chance to reveal that they were infected. Or if you're playing with the expansion where you voted to fly off on the escape pod and the person you thought was safe was actually infected and they were on the escape pod with you and you lost. It's got
time you revealed yourself as infected on the wrong turn.
If you reveal early, that's always hilarious.
When you thought it was your turn and then you ruined your whole chance at winning the game by revealing. Yes, I'm a traitor. And additionally, right after that, Veiled Fate. I think Veiled Fate, another semi-cooperative game.
Fix the iconography or give a card that's got it on there, and that is a fantastic game.
I love the aesthetics of Veiled Fate.
Veiled Fate's super cool. Yeah, I really
it looks super cool, but we have a hard time telling some of the pieces apart.
Yeah,
even the non-colorblind people.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Awakened Realms. Every game they put out has incredible components. Yes. Yeah. Great table presence.
100%.
That was a ton of fun though, because Tim was spiteful to West, and that made me win, and he didn't realize it until afterwards.
Didn't matter. West didn't win, and it was worth it because I didn't have to listen to the whole card ride home about how West won at Veiled Fate.
Totally coincidental that we played those back to back at QsCon with Nikki and Brandon in the chat here. I just thought those games tell great stories.
They really do. Good picks.
Good picks. Yep.
Oh, I didn't mention an obvious one though. Time Stories. That game tells a great story.
Oh,
yeah. I've only.
Game.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Quantum Leap, the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really cool story now, and there's so many different like expansions modules that you get for that, and so you could really kind of tinker that to your vibe and what sounds good. You don't have to have all of them, but you could, or you could just have the ones that feel a little more contemporary or sci-fi or fantastical, or historical. So lots of different options there.
Chris, you will not get any pushback from us on that.
Yeah, we love illustrations.
Mm-hmm. And my flip book will tell a story of how the heck it got from this to that.
Yes. Exactly. That's the fun of it.
Especially playing after dark at 2 a.m. at Gen Con or Origins. When you've been there for, on a Saturday after you've been there, you're fried.
Yeah.
Sweet. No, great list. Great games. Always fun to get to talk about some of these things. So I love it. It was a great suggestion. I think I don't know if Jeff picked this as much as West suggested it for him. I'm not sure. Jeff seemed pretty shocked when we were like, "Hey, this is your list. What do you want to do?"
Yeah, my reaction was that it must have come from somewhere else, but that is okay because I think of the four of us, I actually gravitate more towards story-forward games than any of us.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's awesome because it shows. Because I think that designers, when they're making games that they want to play, tend to come out with better results. So I mean, clearly you've got a vibe and a thing you really like, right? So that makes sense. Lean into that,
Yeah.
Bob is if Bob was going to design a game, I'm going to bet money that he's not designing a social deduction game. You know what I mean?
Me neither.
He's gonna design a game he'd rather.
Oh, I am.
Play.
I'm just gonna call it Gaslight the Game, and all the rules says just lie to your friends, and then you pick a winner.
All night.
Oh, you've already designed it.
Nice.
It's already designed.
Yeah, the rule book. I love the rule book, dude. It's so small. It's like 2 pages, and it's in big type, so you can read it.
Very user friendly.
This book actually looks very big in Mike's hands. If Mike were to be holding this, it would look like a full size.
I think of the Forges book. It's like
it would look like a big rule book that would take up
shots everybody.
But no, super fun. And again, right, games that tell stories. The fun thing about doing lists like this is it gives us opportunities to share our own stories and experiences with them, which is super fun and important. I think that's part of the experience of playing board games and why they're so great, and why we're all big fans of the hobby. Other than, hey, everybody go check out Vrahode. Is there a link, Mike, in the chat? To the Kickstarter?
There's a link in the description of this video.
Okay.
Thank you guys for that. That's wonderful.
No, man. I mean, we're honest about it though. If any of what we have talked about in the videos or what you see on the campaign page sounds interesting to you, it's really worth looking at and considering.
What you get for what you pay is crazy.
Well, that's the other thing, Jeff, is you're a madman for that price point. That when Wes called me, when Wes told me what the price was going to be before y'all launched, I was like, you've got to be lying. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Well, this is our hope is that it's at some point it's a break even proposition for this first one. We've got to get out there. We got to prove we can make a fun game. We've got to prove it's going to do things that other games don't that are like it. And we have to take our lumps and do it at a value price for people so that they'll risk on us. And if they'll do that, I think when the full doors of Vrahode open wide and they get to experience more of the lore and the full rule system once the extra goodies are added in, I think they'll think it was worth the journey. We hope.
I mean, I would say that even at your $79 price point, your $80 price point is worth the journey. I mean, that's right there is worth what you're getting in that box. If you want to play a campaign style game that is very accessible, I mean, look at it and really consider it, because I know that even backing a Gloomhaven, you know, is $100 minimum, right? Oh, yeah. Getting in or more. To get into Descent 3rd Edition, which is a game that I genuinely love. I mean, even at miniature market prices, that's $100-something.
Yeah.
You know, so to have something that is easier to learn and get to the table that's less, even better. So if that seems like that's something that's your jam, I mean, we've all experienced it. We've all played it. We wouldn't, if we didn't like it, honestly, I'd be like, Jeff, thanks for letting us take a look at it, man. It didn't land with us. Right. You know, hit us up next time. It happens. Yeah. You know, hit us up next time. We've done it before. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, to be self-serving, watch our videos on it. We'll tell you. We'll talk about it. We got a couple on there. And if you're a Patreon, you can.
What's going to be fun is actually being able to sit down and play the production version with you, so that you can see all the things that we fixed. Since the review copies.
I'm looking forward to it. Chris, it is called Vrahode, Age of Prophecy. It's on Kickstarter now. This is a review, like prototype sort of, or production copy.
Yeah, there you go, Chris.
So yeah, man. No, we're happy you're here. Show up anytime. Chris is a good dude.
In the description.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, you could back it $1, so it would at least look like you backed it.
Oh, that's never not going to be funny. That is never not going to be funny. I love it so much. I love it. Well, Jeff, dude, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. It was fun.
Guys.
I think it's one of those things where you go, yeah, we're a small company and people don't know us. I appreciate you coming on and you know, giving people an opportunity. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with you and talking to you at, you know, conventions. We've messaged, you know, back and forth, you know, just privately, and you are, you know, you are who you are, right? I mean, it's out there. There's no difference. The guy you see here is the guy that I talk to all the time.
Oh yeah. No, and I'll tell you what, I think our paths will continue to be intertwined. And we've added another common friend in West. I enjoyed getting to know Bob a little bit more tonight, because I've spent time with you two knuckleheads quite a bit.
You know us if you're calling us knuckleheads.
Yeah, it was nice to have Bob, to be able to listen to Bob and get to know Bob a little bit tonight. So that was cool.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, man. So for sure. And again, I appreciate it. It's not always easy. Not everybody's super comfortable coming on a show. You know, and we try to, you know, we play it pretty fast and loose here. You know, we joke a lot and everything, but
I spent a lot of years behind a microphone singing in front of bands. And so I kind of got desensitized as a singer, you know, for being on camera. So.
All right. That's the next thing Mike's going to find is YouTube clips of Jeff fronting wedding bands. No, I'm just
there's a couple out there, sadly.
Oh, I love this. Here we go.
It's fair.
But no,
that's a different Chris. What's with all the Chris's in my life?
Yeah, you do have a lot of. You do know a lot of Chris's.
I know a lot of Chris's. Yeah.
You know what's weird is by default, I think I know a lot of Chris's too, because I know a lot of the Chris's you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we hang out too much. Yeah, impossible. And
so accurate.
Yeah, Bob does win too much. We gotta stop that.
It's true.
It's that get good rule, right? Get good.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, hey man, this has been a blast, Jeff. Anytime you want to come on, dude, we will. You don't have to have a project. We're happy to have you on.
Right.
Thanks for taking. I know when you got a Kickstarter going, it's stressful. So you know, we appreciate you even taking some time to cut loose with us a little bit. You know,
be honest with you, it was a nice break. We're at that gooey middle of the campaign where things get kind of stagnant. But we've got a lot of fun things we're going to do to liven things up for people and make sure that our backers know we appreciate them. So we started today by doubling the dice set. We don't have a lot of dice in our system, but the ones that we do have in it get a lot of use. So we decided to give you 2 D20s and 2 custom D6s. So there's one set for each side of the table, just as a quality of life upgrade. And the next few things we're going to do is we're going to have a little poll and let people decide. We've got a couple new basic items. Which one do you want in the game?
Oh, sure. You know? I like that.
And then we're going to do a regional item and say, all right, which one do you want added to the game? And then we're going to do a treasured item. And we're going to say, okay, which one do you want added to the game? Whatever people vote, that's what we're putting in.
That's cool, man. I like that. And that builds engagement, right? People are into it. It's better than just like X generic stretch goal. Hey, we need so many dollars and then we're going to get this. Like, that's fine. And those are appreciated. But when you can
get them involved,
keep people talking about it, right? And paying attention to the campaign, because I've definitely been guilty of back and never look at it until I get my pledge, until I get the pledge manager email. It's like, okay, great, cool.
Forges did a thing like that where they let you name some of the, like, you know, the different, there's a contest to name a lot of the legendary items and stuff. So it's like, just, you know, keeping people engaged and during the campaign is good.
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, you got anything before we sign off?
Nope. It's been a blast.
Yeah, man. I knew it was going to be a good show. It was an awesome topic, and Jeff's a super fun guy, and I expected nothing less. And if anything, now we've got Bob Gaslights his friends for a bingo card spot.
Absolutely.
I love watching just this. That's how I know I'm doing something right. If I'm getting Bob to do this, I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
All day
long.
I
can't like do the literal face palm because then I get my fingerprints all over my glasses. So you just
right.
get the head shake. Yeah.
That's why I just go without the glasses for the show.
There you go.
Because this late I've taken the contacts
I can't see
out.
anything. You guys are just blurry.
Oh, I look way better now. Now you're really trying to see Mike's tiny hands.
I can't even see my hands at all.
Again, what hands?
Exactly.
Thank you, guys.
No, Jeff, you've been a blast. Thank you for coming on, dude. And
appreciate
love the time we got to spend together. So
anytime you'll have me back, I'll be back.
Hell yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it again. All right. Well, we'll call it there. For the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I was Bob.
I was Mike.
Yes. And I think I was Jeff.
We think you're right. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
See you, Donnie.
See ya.
We'll see you guys.
Good job, Stonemeyer. A 7.3 repeating. 3 heating. 3 heating. 3 heating.